goodness. What's up, chat?
Is it that time?
It's time to rock. Everybody headbanging.
I don't know.
It's
Are we
Thursday.
live?
It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and you guys know what that means. It's time for the live stream of the Busted Wide Open podcast. All right. Cut
I'm trying a new trick here. Because my computer is weak, but my phone is strong. I have the video feed and the chat over on my phone.
Ooh.
So hopefully I can keep up on everything for once. So, what's up, y'all?
What's happening, guys?
Yeah.
Doing some little last-minute things here to clean house, but...
It was a hell of a week this week, man.
Yeah, I went to Vermont, had some maple syrup, pretty much ate jerky, maple syrup jerky, maple syrup chicken, maple syrup pancakes, just maple syrup, all the things. Like if anybody's from, I know, who was it?
I'm sick of maple syrup now because of you saying all that.
It was Trevor Lee.
Trevor Lee?
From the
Travis Banks?
No, not Travis. It was the Trevor that I miscalled, Trevor Lee. He said he was from Vermont. I was in Burlington Tuesday and Wednesday this week. So I had all the maple syrup things.
You didn't get some of the fine, delicious beer they have out there?
No, because I'm a shit beer Miller Lite kind of guy.
You're a Miller Lite guy, I know.
Yeah.
Do you know how much less Miller Lite my bar buys now that you're not there anymore?
I believe it.
It's just Nelson holding up the fort now.
I was going to say, he constitutes a good case a week, doesn't he?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
We're talking about people that people who listen to our show have no idea what we're talking about right now, Nick.
That's fine.
This is not entertainment. Let's get back to wrestling, which is what we're here for.
So everybody come to see us fall.
Because we got to get this going, man. We got to keep this under 2 hours this week, and I don't know how we're going to do that because this show is enormous. There's so much that happened this week.
All right, I am pushing record. Let's make sure that's going good. Everybody good? All right. Guys, we're going to kick this into gear. Hang on tight, grab a drink, settle in, and we're going to kick things off, as we always do with our good friends over at Blueberry. This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
This is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open. Thank you.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode 149. Still trying to figure out what time zone I'm actually in because I've watched so much wrestling all around the globe this week. I am Nick Howell.
And just like Thanos and Brock Lesnar, I am the inevitable Ian Dangerous, and welcome to the show, everybody. Nick, we have zero time to waste this week because this might be one of the most packed shows we've ever had. Multiple pay-per-views and massive events, tournaments, and also WWE's main programming heading to SummerSlam. There is just so freaking much to talk about, and it's all good stuff, and I'm so excited. let's do some housekeeping and get right into it because we've got no time to waste.
Yes, absolutely, guys. Come join us over on Facebook in the Busted Wide Open discussion group. Send us a join request. We'll get you right in. Join us here on YouTube live as we are right now every single week, youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you get notified anytime we schedule new events. But we are on live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. And if you love our show and want to support what we do, you can donate right here into the tip jar live on the show. Or you can head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers to get access to show notes, the ability to ask listener questions, big bonus episodes every single month at the $10 tier, and much, much more at the higher tiers at patreon.com/BWO. Ian, I got to tell you, man, I am behind. Full disclosure, I'm behind on the G1. I'm hoping we can play catch up today. I don't know anybody that lives. I don't know anybody that's like fully caught up personally. It's like this. I'm constantly behind. Like, oh God, I can't catch up.
Well, not only the G1, we had the Evolve 10th anniversary show. We had AEW's Fight for the Fallen this last week. Absolutely. If you are caught up on everything right now, we had DDT's Peter Pan show. If you're caught up on everything this week, then I envy you because it means that you don't do anything but watch wrestling. And that sounds like a lot of fun, but I actually have to pay for this apartment that I'm in.
Right.
So I can't do that. But I'm caught up on as much as I possibly could be, and I'm ready to run it all down for this show. But that being said, Nick, let's not waste any more time, and let's talk about the big news.
Well, a little bit of big news this week. Nothing crazy, except Raw is doing a massive, massive reunion episode announced for Monday Night Raw next week. Like, where did this come from?
Where did this come from? Why did it come from? Where? And I know they're trying to goose ratings for 1 week, but I'm not sure if I see the potential here other than just a massive nostalgia special trying to get lapsed fans back to the show to enjoy the current product. They've got a hell of a list of names for this special right now. I'll run down the list that I have in front of me. They're updating it by the hour, so who knows where it's going to be by the time you listen to the show. But as of right now, we've got Mark Henry, Mick Foley, Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe, Lillian Garcia, Alundra Blaze, Kelly, Rikishi, which will be interesting to see if he's got anything to, like, he and the Usos do anything. That'd be fun. Ron Simmons, The Godfather. I wonder if he's coming back as Godfather or Goodfather. Road Dogg that makes sense. Sid, who will probably be, I don't know. I haven't seen Sid in a while. I don't know how he's looking. That could be scary. Austin will be there. Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to show up. Sergeant Slaughter, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Booker T, X-Pac, Bischoff, which makes sense. Santino Marella, nice to have him back. Devon Dudley, Ted DiBiase, Kurt Angle, Jerry Lawler, Christian. At last he's on his own. The Boogeyman, Jimmy Hart, the Hurricane, and recently they added Melina and Candice Michelle. So that's a huge list of people.
It's a few people.
Which, I mean, you could just have Hogan, Flair, and Austin, and it would be an absolutely monumental show. And then throw in like Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels just for giggles and shits, and it would be a huge show. Why have all of these people? Why? I'm trying to figure out beyond just a ratings boost what the point is in having everyone here.
Like, how are they going to take it? Like, are we going to get to enjoy each of these guys over the course of girls for 3 hours? Like, how are they going to pull this off?
Some people are going to get short shrift aside from like a really quick nostalgia pop. I don't really see the point. Maybe I'm being, the Grinch here, but I kind of want to see all these people get like a nice segment beyond like Ron Simmons showing up and going, damn. And then that's it. Okay, cool. Ron Simmons.
Is it going to be one of those things where they're all, him and JBL are sitting around in the back playing poker with Hurricane and other people, and that's it?
JBL hasn't been announced, but if they bring JBL back in his Acolytes gimmick with Ron Simmons, I will get that. They'll get me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They'll get me on this. But at the same time, like,
The APA entrance was one of my favorites. I got to be honest.
We've got stuff to do right now.
Yeah.
You got to fix what you got right now. What are we doing
SummerSlam's
with
coming,
this
guys.
many
We ain't
people?
got time for this shit. All right.
Many people. And how do you make it special? I guess is my question.
That's a good
how do you
question.
make it special?
I don't know.
So,
don't know.
it will work. They will get
Couldn't
ratings
they have
for
just
this.
done this on the network? That would be my question.
I wonder. That would be a lot better. I'd put an hour special saying like the Raw reunion hour special. One name that's conspicuously absent? Jim Ross, good old JR, the voice of Raw.
Of the 90s, pretty much where
From the
all these
era.
people came from.
Exactly. Where all these people came from, JR was the voice. And there's a few people that aren't here that are notably absent because they're busy working for other companies right now.
Dustin Rhodes.
So, Dustin Rhodes, JR, Mr. Ass Billy Gunn. So, yeah, interesting by their absence. But something to keep an eye out for next week. We'll obviously be going over it when it happens, but we wanted to just take an aside and make a note of that's going to happen, and it will probably be a fairly big deal. It's just I'm very curious to see how they execute this beyond just a couple of nostalgia pop moments, if there's more to it, or if it literally is just kind of a masturbatory, self-congratulatory WWE thing.
Can they get away with this and still pull off a week of build leveraging SmackDown? Can they still pull off a week's worth of build heading towards SummerSlam, or are we writing this week off because of this reunion and waiting till next week till we start like formalizing some storylines? Because that would leave us with only about 2 weeks before the go-home show.
My question is, will this be like some of the reunion shows they've had in the past, where all these superstars get salted into storylines throughout the show, or will it just be one like 20 to 30 minute segment where you try to cram all these people in, and it's a 30-minute Raw reunion segment, and then we have 2.5 hours of regular Raw, or with commercials another 2 hours, whatever, another hour and a half. But the point is I'm curious how they actually execute this next week, because as you said, they've got a pay-per-view to build towards, the second biggest pay-per-view of their year. So
yeah.
We've heard
a lot of commentary around the other, like AEW, for example, for the lapsed WWE fan. And I'm wondering if WWE is going, oh, really? Hold my beer. Here's everybody you love. Remember all these people, lapsed WWE fans, lapsed Attitude Era fans? Because all of those kind of, tickle my fancy. Absolutely, as a 90s Attitude Era guy, almost that whole list is people who I miss and who I loved. So I'm wondering if there's a strategy here.
Do they get action? Do they because we've seen this before where like Austin and Foley and Michaels were at WrestleMania and they buried the League of Nations. Like, that's not good for your current talent. So we'll see. That being said, Nick, we got a ton of show. We'll check that out next week. But right now we got to check out Monday Night Raw.
Well, this got interesting real fast. Right out of the gate, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar pretty much came out and ran roughshod over this show. And Paul comes out and says, we don't know who is going to be the next challenger for the new 3-time Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use some of my stroke around these parts now and make a 10-man cross-brand battle royal to determine the number one contender for the Brock's Universal Championship. What did you think about this as kind of a move to determine the number one contender?
Well, I liked it. I like it in theory as a way to get 10 guys on TV and make them all look pretty good, which they ended up doing in the main event. And especially some of them were kind of strange picks to be in this. You had Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio, Baron Corbin, Cesaro, and Big E. So this was a bit of like kind of cherry picking some of Paul Heyman's guys and putting them in with other people that have been mainstays of the main title pictures for the last few months.
Sure.
So on paper, I thought, okay, that's good. It's going to be a fun, kind of crazy battle royal match. And the way they executed the actual match was entertaining.
Sure.
And I liked how Paul introduced it by saying, doesn't matter who wins, you're all Brock's bitches. And riling the crowd up and basically being like, that's right, Brock's champ again, F you. So that all worked for me. And then, like, even having the little bits backstage where all of the guys that were in the battle royal got a thing to say about how they're going to win shades of Rumble 92. So all of that, fine. I liked it. I didn't think it was bad. I thought we've seen way worse ways to determine a number one contender. But we still ended up, I thought it was strange from a logic standpoint. And Paul didn't really get into this, where he made a point of saying that Seth Rollins was in their rear view, but yet, even as the guy in power, he put him in this 10-man match. And obviously, we don't want to belabor the fact that logic doesn't always factor in WWE. But Seth did win this match, and so we are getting Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar in a rematch at SummerSlam. Do you rate, people have noticed that Brock's belt does not have his plates on the sides, and I speculated after Extreme Rules that he might be a transitional champ. Do you think that lends credence to that, or do you see Seth not winning at SummerSlam, and then we go back to Brock and Roman Reigns for Hell in a Cell?
I haven't gotten that far yet. Well, here's what I will say about this.
All right.
I did notice that his plates were not on there, which I thought was odd, but I didn't lose any sleep over it. I'll put it that way. Why blow this capital? Why blow this exercise if you're just going to give it back to Seth? If you're just going to have Seth be the rematch?
And also, to make a further point, like, this match was exciting on paper, except for the fact that when you looked at the guys in this match, it was pretty much like you knew it was going to be Seth, it was going to be Roman, or it was going to be Strowman.
Yeah.
That's it. The only guys you thought were going to win this. So everyone else there was just kind of cannon fodder.
I actually thought because they had Strowman come out as the last guy, and they opened up with him and Gorilla and kicked his like they do when he walks out with his music kicking, throwing a little promo, yada yada, get these hands as he walks out. I love when they do that kind of stuff. I actually thought that was kind of a that was one that they're just going to phone it in, foreshadowing. Right here it is, Braun Strowman is going to be I thought that was the way they would go. Nope.
No.
Seth. Okay,
no, Seth.
It's Seth. Fine. Do I think he's going to take it right back off of Brock? Nope.
I was shocked because I thought this is like we've been saying for months. We thought that, they're going to put the belt on Reigns for Fox. I'm now starting to wonder if they're going to wait and put it on him once they're on Fox. And that's the first major move they make on Fox, is to have Roman win the belt. But
I think it'll be the WWE Championship, though, not the Universal.
Possibly.
That's my point. And he's technically a SmackDown star at this point.
But the way that they're establishing Brock is still the final boss. He's the final boss of WWE. He shows up when he wants to. And they're even kind of playing to that with his shirts, where he has his Suplex City for the shirt that they're in. I believe it was Long Island where they were on Monday.
Yeah.
And on the back, all it says is, I was there. And that's obviously a joke on Brock showing up to that event. But there's an undercurrent of people know he's a special attraction, or the WWE knows he's a special attraction, and F you if you have a problem with that. And they're kind of trolling the audience with that. And there's also the double meaning there, where it could also be that the person, the audience member wearing that shirt, who buys that shirt, was like, I was there and Brock was there, and it was an event. The point is, they understand that Brock is still an event TV guy, and he's an event pay-per-view guy.
Yeah.
And so as a result, it would make more sense to have your top star take the belt off of him in front of a bigger audience, potentially at Fox. So that I'm still looking at Brock being transitional. I'm just wondering if it's short term and Seth takes it back off him at SummerSlam, or if it's longer term and they wait to take it off of him in front of the Fox audience. But at the end of the day, I just want them taking it off him relatively soon, because we definitely don't need another 700-day Brock reign.
No.
Or whatever it was.
No, that achievement unlocked as far as that's concerned. We don't need to do that shit again. That box has been checked. Please don't put us through that again for another 2 years. That's that achievement that you unlock after grinding for 112 hours. Like, what was it, going to the woods and killing pigs to try and get your XP up? Yeah, it's the interesting thing. You had a question here in those. Is this better than Roman? And I wanted to talk about that for a second. I'm still in that camp. Yeah, it's better than Roman. I still think Roman's going to be the one with the WWE Championship. I'll repeat that. But and Andy Jessup, thanks for calling it out in the chat, reminded me. Did you recognize, did you put two and two together that it was Seth that eliminated Roman in the 10-man Battle Royal? Mm-hmm, is there anything to read into there?
Maybe because he eliminated both Roman and Strowman at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, because Roman was trying to suplex him over or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that made it so it wasn't, but that makes it so it's not directly he's taking out Roman.
Yeah.
He just took out two guys at once.
That's right.
So, yeah, I'm not reading too much into it yet. They also didn't really push anything there. We're like, oh my God, Seth turned on his friend. You know, they didn't.
Right.
If that was going to be an angle, they would have pointed it out more, I think. Unless they go back and look at it later and say, well, that's not a bad idea. I think they have it now so they can have it both ways. Yeah. But I don't think that right now that there's any concept of Seth versus Roman that I'm seeing.
They had this story written. I mean, they could have had Roman go after the WWE Championship and then have Brock cash in on Kofi instead and then have Roman go chase the WWE Championship. Seth would have still had it. We still would have had Seth and Becky thing going on Raw, which is fine. And we'd have had Roman over there with the WWE Championship going into Fox this fall. It wrote itself. I don't know what is going on and why we insist on putting this red belt on Brock again. That's what's really got my mind blown. Anyway.
Well, it's good shit, Nick. But you know what else is good shit? We got to talk about a major debut this week. Finally, after weeks and weeks of brilliant segments, after getting beaten by Samoa Joe, it was an interesting way of having this begin. So Finn Balor gets beaten by Samoa Joe. He then has a bit of a comeback, kicks Joe out of the ring, and starts celebrating, and all of a sudden his music goes, the lights go off, and when they come back on, he's being held in his sister Abigail by Bray Wyatt dressed up as the Fiend. And Bray gives him that sister Abigail and then poses in these flashing lights that they have. And yeah, Bray's back. So two questions here. One, what did you think about this debut of the Fiend? And two, do you think we're heading for a Finn feud? And if so, what do you think about that?
I have a lot to say about this. One,
I figured you might. Please, sir.
I popped hard. I did. As soon as I heard the music go, boom, 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 and I just went, yes. Yes, please let it be. And then, the way that they did it with the lights flickering all over the place, and you got little glimpses of the flash of the Fiend, almost like a strobe, right? Yeah. And then they finally cut the house lights on, and the place just lost its damn mind. I did too, frankly. So, yes, I absolutely love the way this debut was handled. Was it not obvious to everyone? Of course he's going to go up against Finn Balor because Demon.
But
it's inevitable. It's inevitable that we're going to get the Fiend versus the Demon. Okay, hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you there.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's inevitable. Because rumors are that Finn has asked for some time off. Suspicions are that he wants time with his fiancée. He may go get married. So that might be why he dropped the belt so suddenly and then lost to Joe, and then he's the victim to Bray Wyatt, and then Bray Wyatt will go on to victimize multiple people on the roster in such a way. And Finn will be gone for a while. When he comes back, he might feud with Bray. But it might not be Finn. And this is actually what I want to posit to you is, would you rather that it be Man Finn versus Bray Wyatt, or Man Finn leading to the Demon at SummerSlam or Hell in a Cell versus the Fiend, which obviously you've got to, both of them have to win that match, theoretically, although I could see an argument for the Demon having his first loss to the Fiend as a way to get the Fiend over. Or would you prefer it that there's no Finn in the picture whatsoever, and this is just a way to write Finn off TV?
No, I think because we never see the Demon unless it's really like a pay-per-view or a really big match, and it's the story's told that it's a completely different person, right? It's an alter ego of sorts of Finn Balor that comes out when he's needed and is able to move a lot faster and has different moveset and all the stuff, right? That lore is told to us. I think the best thing they could possibly do is have Bray come out in his Firefly Funhouse gear, Mr. Rogers gear, and have no idea what the Fiend is or even what happened, right? Almost schizophrenic in a sense. Split personality.
I think he knows. I like what they're doing in the Funhouse where it's like he knows, but he doesn't know. Where he unleashes this thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to, but at the same time, they're both kind of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde alter egos. So my question is more that I don't know. Would you prefer to have this be against Finn or not against Finn?
Who else would you have? I think I think it is inevitable. It ends up being Demon versus Fiend. I think Fiend is the one that hands the Demon his first loss. Do they do that as soon as SummerSlam, though? Maybe that's what they're building towards here.
Seems like a quick build, right?
Seems like what they're going to do. We got 4 weeks.
Well, let's talk about how he looks right now as well, because do you think that this is the kind of gimmick that's right now it's all flashing lights and shadows? Do you think that this is something that's going to last once they have him under bright lights? Like, how is this going to, do you think that this is going to continue to have its mystique? Because they've been pulling back the layers more and more, at least with the Demon, Finn can look good under hot lights because he's now evolved it to where he has a slightly different moveset. He's more aggressive. People sell for him more. Do you think that the Fiend is going to be effective in the same way, or will, you don't want to have Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger under bright lights in the daytime because they're not as scary.
Right.
You have them at night in the shadows, hiding in the background. There's a reason that Michael Myers was called the Shape in the first Halloween. He wasn't even called Michael Myers in the credits. He was called the Shape because shapes are scary. When someone's right up in your face in bright light during the daytime, you can see every, pore and zit on their skin, or in his case, you can see like how his mask is tied or the makeup. It's not as scary. So do you think this will hold up?
I'll say this. I wish they wouldn't have introduced it as the Fiend. I wish they would have introduced it as Yowie Wowie, Bray Wyatt from Firefly Funhouse, come out in his sweater vest and, maybe do a promo with Finn.
Don't you think that's what they were doing with Firefly Funhouse?
I have a special friend. Maybe they should meet.
I think that this is a way to establish, but he can establish that this is the threat, right? This is the threat when he comes out next week or the week after as the Mr. Rogers character, and he says, I've got a friend and you're going to meet him soon. We know he means business. Like he can pop up out of nowhere and Sister Abigail you, and you're well. So we know the threat's there. So Nick, moving on, let's talk about AJ Styles and Ricochet, who had a feud that lasted for quite a while on this show. We had a couple of different segments with that. We had the Ricochet and the Usos versus the Revival and Bobby Roode in a, I think, 2 or 3 segment match. And it was a lot of fun. But then AJ Styles and the crew got involved at one point. The club got involved at one point. And that started off a trend where they got up in Ricochet's face, caused some problems. And later on, when the club and AJ had a 6-man match against Lucha House Party, Ricochet came out and leveled AJ Styles at one point and got dragged away by the officials. So let's break all this down because that's a lot. First of all, awesome. Ricochet and the Usos versus the Revival and Bobby Roode. Give me more of that. Give me more of Bobby Roode with the Revival. That's a great pairing.
Yeah.
He looks like their older brother, and it's awesome. Yeah. It really works, especially now that they're kind of like dressing up and acting more like Dick Heels in suits.
Right.
It all flows together well. And Ricochet works really well with the Usos because he's like their even crazier, higher flying cousin. So all of that gelled really well. I wasn't a fan. I don't know how you felt about Lucha House Party being used against the club like this. It's just more like that's just how they use Lucha House Party.
Yeah,
have you just given up at this point? Like whatever.
No, I haven't given up. I love the Usos and the Revival, and I love the interaction with Ricochet and Bobby Roode and all that being in there. As far as the club goes, they're just not doing any. I mean, they're just wasting time. You think so? Yeah, I think they're just. Why involve Lucha House Party at all?
Well, that I think was to create a situation where Ricochet could come back out and get his back, and then AJ and the Good Brothers could look like threats and bullies again.
Sure.
So we could establish once again that the club are bullies, and Ricochet is the fiery underdog babyface who's not going to take their crap. And it took us 2 segments and a lot of actually pretty good wrestling to get that story across.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that this was an effective, classic way of serving a bunch of masters while still giving us a bunch of good wrestling that didn't really necessarily speak to this one storyline. It spoke to a few different ones. Usos versus Revival's an ongoing storyline. I'm not really sure how Bobby Roode fits in, but I hope he does. Much like Lucha House Party. I don't think they're in this for the long term, but we're showing Usos Revival continuing, Ricochet and AJ heating up, and the Good Brothers and the club are bullies. We got 3 things done with this.
Yep.
So I thought all of that was, and we got good wrestling. while we're at it. So I thought all this was fine. It was good. I'm looking forward to more AJ and Ricochet.
Of course.
I'm
looking forward to more Usos and Revival. Let's keep that going.
Yep.
Please.
Absolutely. I think all of this right now, I'm very happy with the direction that they're going with these guys. And dear God, they're doing wonderful things with Ricochet. I was so paranoid. I remember when we did a bonus episode saying what their ceilings were for people that were currently in NXT. And Ricochet, we said that we thought Vince wouldn't get him. He was going to be another high flyer, smaller guy, and Vince wouldn't get the appeal. Someone said something to Vince about Ricochet being like Spider-Man or something, like a superhero, because that's how they're positioning him. They're making him look like a scrappy Spider-Man kind of character. I guarantee Vince doesn't even know who the hell Spider-Man is. Or if he does, he's only ever heard of him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the thing
random.
is I'm just saying, like, I think that's how they're positioning him. They're calling him like a real life superhero. They're turning the wheel into that pretty hard with Ricochet.
Even his theme is very superhero-ish.
Well, it starts off
good
with
justice and
yeah, right. And it's even starting now with that, like I said, the glass breaking. He's got the kapwing.
Yeah.
The stupid Ricochet sound, which is growing on me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still not a fan of it, but it's growing on me.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, something clicked where Vince is, I think, getting something about Ricochet that I was worried he wasn't going to get, and that was his appeal. His physicality and his athleticism is engaging, and his earnestness is engaging. And they're allowing him to do all of those things while still looking like a badass who's not a dumb babyface.
Right.
He doesn't come across as he doesn't have dumb babyface disease, which so many babyfaces in the WWE have. If AJ slaps him, he slaps him right back. If AJ jumps him, he comes back later in the show and jumps AJ. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm so glad. I'm so glad they're booking him this way. Let's hope it continues. Nick, we got to talk about the darkest part of Raw now.
Mm-hmm.
The low point.
Mm-hmm.
The 15-plus minute women's four-way match that was announced shortly after Extreme Rules for the number one contendership for Becky's Raw Women's Championship. Natalya versus Carmella versus Naomi versus Alexa Bliss. You had said that you thought Naomi was going to win this. I had thought Alexa was going to win this because Alexa. And to very long story short, it actually ended up being Natalya who won this and immediately got into it with Becky, and they got physical, and all of a sudden went from being friends to calling each other bitch. Okay, fine. Can we talk about how awful this match was?
It was one of the worst things. It was Bailey, this is your life bad. And
like, I don't
Long
know if it
Island
was that
represent, you guys let them know, to the point that Alexa Bliss got on Twitter and said just disrespectful in a single tweet for the response that look, it's Long Island. They're a little bit rowdy in Long Island, right?
Hey.
You ever been to an
don't go
Islanders
heel.
game? They throw shit on the rink. It's not fun.
Don't go heel on this show, Nick.
Right.
Come on.
But I'm just saying.
Listeners from Long Island, he didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. Oh.
Anyway, no, they'll appreciate that. That's the point. They're proud of that. Anyway, they were letting them know absolutely boring. You both suck. Yada yada yada. Right. So I did not like this at all. I did not, frankly, like any of these four women being lined up potentially to be the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship.
That's the second point I was going to have, is not only was this just a dull, plodding match where it looked like everyone only had 4 moves in their arsenal, and then everything else was just, hits in the corner, and there was no excitement in this match. There was no chemistry. There was no pop, except for a couple of good spots, individual spots, which are, of course, the signature spots that these women do all the time.
Right.
And I'm looking at Naomi and Carmella in particular. Luckily for Carmella, she got eliminated very quickly. She hit her spots and got eliminated, and she looked the best out of all of them. And here's the thing: I consider Natalya a very good wrestler from a technical standpoint. She's never been an exciting wrestler.
No,
she's not exciting. And Naomi is an exciting wrestler, but not if you slow her down. Alexa Bliss is also not an exciting wrestler. She's best when she's doing ring psychology and heel psychology on other people in the match, which is what she was doing a lot in the middle of this, where she kept trying to jump in and take the pin away from one of the other women. The That doesn't make for an exciting match, though.
No.
When you have an unexciting wrestler working a wrestler who can only work in short bursts, and then having heel tactics breaking up the rhythm of the match. That's just a recipe for disaster, and we got a disaster. But the point that you just hit on that I want to talk about is Natalya as the challenger for Becky. What's up with the Raw Women's division? Why is no one exciting here? Becky's all alone, and this is something that was pointed out by a few different people online, was that it's kind of been garbage since Ronda left. And I didn't think that a year ago, I didn't think I'd be saying that. That's kind of wild. That Ronda Rousey was the best thing going in their Raw Women's division.
Well, hang on. Let's not talk too highly here.
What?
I agree that it's
wrong?
gone down a little bit, yes. And that has a lot to do with the fact that you've got 2, maybe 3 women that are capable of acting at the level and performing at the level that Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, and I'll throw Bayley and even Sasha in there, right?
But
the 4
again,
horsewomen.
Okay, fine. But then again, why have – I mean, people always complain about Charlotte always coming back for Becky. This is why. This is why. Because no one else seems to be on Becky's level at this point. Like, no one is as exciting as Becky on Raw. You've got a few people that you could build up to be that way on SmackDown, and it makes me crazy to think that you had a built-in storyline with Asuka, and you could be having Asuka versus Becky the last few months because, Asuka beat Becky at the Royal Rumble. Clean as a whistle. Tapped the man out.
Beat her at TLC in the ladder match for the SmackDown Championship.
Built-in storyline. But yet she's busy in tag team hell over on SmackDown. Ugh. And we're stuck here saying, Natalya is going to face Becky Lynch. Do you remember how good that match was at Royal Rumble? I could watch those two wrestle for the next few months in a long-term program. But instead we have
Kabuki Warriors.
Natalya.
Yay.
I think Becky might be able to pull a good match out of Natalya, but it's just right now
it's going to be slow and prodding and oh god.
But again, Natalya's a good technical wrestler. I think Becky might be able to liven her up.
Sure.
But there is some serious action they need to take with the women's roster on Monday Night Raw. Either build up some of these women more, or poach some from SmackDown, or wild card them.
I'm extremely triggered right now because you brought up Asuka. God Almighty! Some of that stuff I just have to expunge from my head. But God, anyway. Yeah, this sucked. Period. Hard stop.
And I glanced over the chat here. DJ Butters brought up a good point. Is that Natalya as the challenger to Becky is also not exciting because Becky just roundly whooped Lacey Evans out the building. Lacey Evans beat Natalya the last 2 times they faced each other. So they haven't built up Natalya to feel like a challenger. Yes, she won this battle royale, or this 4-way match, but they've got 2 weeks to make her feel like a contender.
What a waste for SummerSlam. Sorry, Natty.
Good luck with that. A few more things on Raw, and we got to get rolling here. We had a Miz TV segment where Dolph Ziggler came out and acted kind of normal and called out Miz for being a company kiss-ass yes man.
He's a merch man now.
He's kind of right. He kind of is. Without having a heated feud like he had with Shane, Miz does feel kind of flat, not going to lie, which I hate to say because I love me some Miz these days. But then Ziggler brought up Miz's wife. Miz got nuts, chased him out of the ring. Are you in any way excited for yet another chapter in Dolph Ziggler and Miz, or was this the one-off? And just a way to establish that Miz needs to kind of redo his character a bit.
I hear there's a particular heel that has his hands on the Intercontinental Championship right now. If Miz needs something to do, I'm just saying that champion looks like he's going in a completely different direction, and he's on a different brand, if that even matters anymore. It doesn't.
But yeah, I was of 2 minds about the segment. I wasn't sure what they were trying to say about Miz. It was weird to have Dolph Ziggler acting normal. So this is a wait and see for me, but very strange segment. We were wondering last week if they were going to do more with Cedric Alexander after he popped up in a mask last week and helped Roman Reigns beat Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. Well, he had a rematch of sorts. He had a match with Drew McIntyre this week, and he beat him. He rolled him up. Surprise roll-up. Cedric gets a win over Drew McIntyre. Is this a setup for Drew to absolutely annihilate him next week and call it The Undertaker? Or are they going to start doing some build with Cedric? A la Ricochet, make him an underdog babyface?
I don't know if you can have more than one of those at a time, to be honest with you. And
I don't know
give
if
them a fair play, right?
I don't know if WWE can have more than one of them at a time.
That's what I mean.
They have a hard time telling them apart. You can do it. You just got to know how to separate the two.
It's going to spread too thin if they start doing that with too many people. And right now, Ricochet is top of the line as far as I'm concerned. They don't need to water that down a little bit. Sorry, Cedric.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, I wouldn't be mad at seeing like a longer-term program with him and Drew, but I think that Cedric is going to get absolutely annihilated by Drew next week, and then the Undertaker thing's going to happen. That's my suspicion.
Drew got bigger things to do, frankly.
I should hope so. I should hope Drew has bigger things to do. I don't need Drew feuding with Cedric right now when he needs to be out there looking like a monster.
Right.
We also had Zack Ryder versus Mike Kanellis. Zack Ryder beat the crap out of him. Maria once again talked down to Mike and said she should have wrestled the match. Yeah. I honestly, like, this whole Mike and Maria Kanellis thing, don't care. The only reason I care about it at all still is because of things that happened on 205 Live, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But as far as what is happening with it on Raw, DOA, don't care. Make it go away. The 24/7 title was defended while naked, or supposedly naked. Drake Maverick checked into a hotel trying to consummate his marriage finally, which he still hasn't done because apparently he's never been alone with his wife. I don't know what's going on here. But they checked into a hotel. R-Truth found out what room they were in. He snuck in with the champagne and attacked Drake Maverick on his wedding bed, rolled him up, and stole the title.
Wearing nothing but the 24/7 championship.
Yes, and a hidden pair of tighty whities, thank God.
Yeah.
But
I was very, I mean, it could have gone balls out and just pixelated the whole thing, you know?
That would have been, but that would have taken extra time for production, Nick.
Oh.
And this didn't seem like they were looking too much into production.
You mean they just kind of threw this together at the last minute? Is that what you're implying?
I know that's not what they would do. That's never been WWE's MO. Never.
This stuff's planned way in advance.
Way in advance, and obviously just choreographed and thought about, and they practice it a bunch, and it's not.
When was the last time you checked into a hotel and they were using a laptop?
That being said, nicer hotels, they actually use iPads.
Oh, wait a minute. You've been staying at some fancy shit. I don't even get to stay at those.
I've seen things. I watch TV shows. Okay. But lifestyles, the rich and famous. But the thing about this segment was both of these guys, R-Truth and Drake Maverick, are wildly entertaining. And you can give them crap to do, but they turn it into gold. This was fun. This was stupid fun.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
I have no critiques about this whatsoever.
Yeah. I thought
his wife played her part. The referee, I cannot remember his name in particular, that was dressed up as the butler or the room service cart pusher. Pulls his stuff off and all of a sudden he's a referee.
I know you.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait, I know who you are.
Yep. It's all fun stuff. It's good entertainment, sports entertainment. As much as we wanted it to be like more out there, at least like segments like this are just good, dumb fun.
Yeah, give it time. We'll get there.
And they're utilizing both these guys in good ways. Like Drake can be the serious GM over on 205, and he can come over here and be the goofball we remember from TNA Impact.
Yeah, and pee in his pants on the ringside for AOP.
Let's not do that. Maybe not that. But having like R-Truth call him Hornswoggle and stuff like that, lowercase h.
Yes.
Like, good stuff. And then finally, Viking Raiders squashed a couple of enhancement guys, Vinny Burr and Jackson Reigns. Viking Raiders still in a holding pattern, squashing dudes as they watch their career slip away slowly but surely, and people care about them less and less and less.
Long live the War Machine!
Long live the War Raiders, Viking War Machine. Those were the days.
Experience.
But Nick, luckily there's lots of exciting things going on elsewhere in WWE. But to talk about them, we have to go discuss SmackDown Live.
Well, SmackDown Live started off with something I don't remember seeing happen on WWE before. We had a town hall, the first ever town hall where all of the superstars got to come out in an open forum in the great open, transparent culture that is WWE, have an open conversation with a member of the McMahon family. Their I guess we're still doing commissioner things. Shane McMahon in the ring with all the superstars on the ramp, able to give all of their feedback in a town hall.
I don't know if he's a commissioner. He's just a McMahon. They kind of established that they're the owners.
They're not doing the commissioner thing anymore.
No, that comes and goes, depending on what they want to do.
At their whim, yeah, sure.
At least it's not the anonymous Raw GM.
Right.
At least it's not that. But yeah, this was an interesting segment. It always is kind of weird to see the whole roster lined up on the top of the stage. At least they did a fairly good job of keeping the heels and faces separated a little bit at the top of the stage. 2 microphones, a heel microphone and a face microphone. And Shane said, Shane had just kicked KO out of the building. He said, because of your actions at Extreme Rules in the last week, you're not going to be allowed on the show. Get out of here, go home. And he said, if anyone else has any beef, now's the time to tell me here in front of everybody, air your grievances, but do it respectfully. And, of course, first person up, Roman Reigns, who says, Shane, no one respects you. You're a jackass, et cetera, et cetera. Shane said, that's not respectful at all. I'm going to fine you. Get out of here. And this goes on. So you have the heels come out. It was interesting because he called out a lot of the people that Kevin Owens called out last week when he said, you're taking up TV time that could be given to people like Buddy Murphy or Liv Morgan. And we had Apollo Crews, and we had all of their reactions. You had Buddy Murphy come out and say, yeah, I appreciate what he was trying to do, but Kevin Owens should keep my name out of his mouth. And everyone booed him. And you had Liv Morgan come out and say, women like Charlotte was in the middle of saying how great Shane was. People like Charlotte are the reason I don't have any opportunities. They had a match later in the evening. And then you had Apollo Crews coming out and saying, I don't like you, Shane. And New Day comes out. And when New Day comes out and starts talking about Shane, he cuts their mic. Fun little segment. Established matches for the rest of the show, which is fun. You had Andrade and Apollo get into it. You had Liv and Charlotte get into it. All the setup matches for later in the show.
Yeah.
It was interesting because it was something unique and fresh, and we hadn't really seen it before. And we got to see some of these people act in character that they don't normally get, right? When was the last time you heard Liv Morgan speak on TV?
Right. I was very excited about that, finally.
We'll talk about that more when we talk about her and Charlotte's match, because interesting things going on with Liv Morgan. Interesting things going on there. But
hey, real quick. One thing I wanted to say about this. Actually, one other thing. Esme Standing Bear, $5 tip to the tip jar. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
You rock.
Thank you.
I wanted to say I actually like this kind of stuff. I remember when, good old Commissioner Shane used to do, he'd pull everybody and give them an attaboy backstage, a year ago or something like that.
Sure.
And when it was the land of opportunity and Daniel Bryan was the GM and there was this great thing, and now it's completely turned on its head. So I always liked when they would do these kinds of segments, but this was, show me some wrestling. Don't waste 30 to 40 minutes of my time.
Oh, you didn't like this? See, I thought this was a nice, fresh change up, and it allowed you to show some character from people that don't often get to show character.
You mean keeping Shane on TV even more?
Shane's going to be on TV. Get used to it. Get used to it. And I like this dynamic more than I like the dynamic on Raw, where he's just there. This actually establishes him as an authority figure. And I know it's all to just get Kevin Owens over as an anti-authority figure, which happened at the end of the segment where Kevin Owens came out of the crowd and gave a stunner to Shane after he cut Kofi and the New Day's mic, which, of course, ended up with Dolph Ziggler begging for a rematch from Shane. Shane said, if you can find Kevin Owens, you got that rematch in the main event. We'll work together to take him out. And sure enough, Shane came out with his goon squad of all of the bad guys from SmackDown Live. And Kevin Owens ended up winning the match, giving a stunner to Shane, and then running out. So we've got Kevin Owens basically being kind of a modern twist on the CM Punk, Stone Cold Steve Austin format, anti-authority, guy who speaks truth on the mic till they cut off his mic. But you need to have a Shane McMahon for that to work. So that's kind of my question is, are you okay with, because Raw, like I said, I feel like Shane is extraneous. He's extraneous. But here, I feel like he's extraneous. Extraneous McMahon.
Hashtag extraneous. There you go.
Extraneous McMahon. But now here, he feels like if you want to have Kevin Owens, because I like what they're doing with Kevin Owens, but it doesn't work without what Shane McMahon is doing.
Without the foil, yeah.
Right. So you've got to accept having more Shane McMahon on TV and doing segments like this opening town hall and shutting people down and being kind of a dick in order for the Kevin Owens character in his current iteration to work. Yeah. So can you handle that? Can you handle this? Can you handle this?
It begs the question, if you go back to to 99, does Stone Cold work without Mr. McMahon?
No. That's why we've had some iteration of Mr. McMahon for the 20 years since.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand what the point you're making. I get it. I do. I just don't know if Shane's the right one to do that. But and Vince is too far gone at this point to. I don't know. He took a hard headbutt the hard way last summer, a year ago, from Kevin Owens. They've been trying to do this with KO for some time, and I don't know if I'm ready to just kind of stamp Stone Cold Kevin Owens on him just quite yet.
No,
he's getting there.
I see where
it's going.
Of it.
Yeah.
It's shades of it. They're doing a different twist on it, but it's still, they're going from the playbook a lot, which has, advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
But it's, fine. I think if they're going to do it with somebody, Kevin Owens is a good one to do it with. They were going to do it just after WrestleMania when they had him turn face. They had to have him turn heel again because Daniel Bryan got injured, and they went a bit of a different direction. And now they're like kind of going back to it and finally doing it, which I'm glad they stuck to their guns on it. Normally I don't like when they kind of, make people heel face so quickly, they bounce it back and forth. This one I'm like, yeah, no, let's see face Kevin Owens in this role. I want to see this.
Me too.
And he's doing a good job with it.
I'm not even gonna go so far as call it face. This is like super tweener Kevin Owens.
Sure.
Like man of the people. This is kind of the same thing we saw out of Becky Lynch last fall and kind of what got her over really
absolutely.
Big. And,
I like
and
that
she had that moment where Nia gave her the punch, and that really just kind of sealed her fate going into 2019. But KO needs something similar, and this kind of the KO pipe bomb thing. Follow this up with something big at SummerSlam or leading right into SummerSlam, whatever they match him with. If it is Shane, great. He needs that one thing. Like I've been saying with Becky all along, she needs that one thing, and it kind of died the first half of this year. But
he needs a 316 moment or a beer truck moment for this to work.
Yep.
And
totally.
I agree with you. But So I do. I also like the fact that they're, what you said a moment ago about him being kind of a tweener. They're keeping that in kayfabe with the New Day saying we don't like Kevin Owens because of what he did recently. So at least they're keeping that aspect to his character where he's not a good guy, but he's our bad guy kind of thing.
One other thing, because I'm taking score. First thing, Shane sandbagged the hell out of Taker at Extreme Rules, and then he couldn't even take the gut kick to set up the stunner. Come on, man. Like this is kind of basic stuff.
Nothing will ever be worse than the first stunner McMahon took. Vince
Where
McMahon
he just
took.
fell flat.
He just slid down his shoulder and then started twitching on the floor. Nothing will ever be worse than that. Let's be clear. Nothing. Like Shane, as bad as some of it was, he did bounce quite nicely afterwards, taking notes from Scott Hall. But
and in the replay, they did edit out the part where he completely botched it.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. He's the best in the world, don't you know, Nick?
Oh, of course.
So before we move on, real quick, Gerardo Garcia's Shane shoe watch.
Oh.
Apparently Shane was wearing the Air Jordan 1 Retro High BG Black, Red, White edition of shoes. I have no idea what I just said, but if you do, then you too know that Shane wears good kicks. So thank you again to Gerardo Garcia, listener Gerardo Garcia, for giving us the what's up on that, because if you didn't tell us, I'd have no freaking clue. We had Aleister Black versus Cesaro Part 2, and sadly somewhat short, but once again, damn, Nick, I love watching these two just go at it.
Yeah, hashtag fight forever as far as I'm concerned. He took the black mask this time so hard he spit his mouthpiece out, and that was fantastic. What a great spot.
Yeah, smart. That's smart stuff. When he ate the black mask and just spit out the mouth guard. Good stuff.
One of the banners for this week in consideration is Aleister Black sitting up with Cesaro laying next to his mouthpiece, because we got a really nice frame from the good camera work of that mouthpiece.
Spoil it, dude.
I know. Everybody that's tuning in live gets some of these spoilers sometimes. That's why you guys should always come to you. I'm not going to sell it again. Sorry.
Okay. But so I really have nothing else to say about this except awesome. I hope this continues. Or I hope Aleister Black, they made Aleister Black look good here again.
Yeah.
In his victory. Okay, never mind. I got actually two things to say about this. And both of them about bungling Aleister Black. One, How in the freaking world does their production team not know how to shoot this guy? How do they consistently screw up his entrance so incredibly badly?
Because they don't think they're doing it badly. That's the
whether
problem.
it's timing his little raising plank, or not getting enough ground fog over where he is, or having his thing with the candles look just absolutely ridiculous, shooting it terribly, lighting it terribly. How do you consistently make it this incompetent when you're able to pull off Bray Wyatt, his debut, really well? There's entrances that were so epic in NXT. Ricochet, Aleister Black, Bobby Roode, Finn Balor. And they were always epic whenever they came out. And you looked forward to them. It's what they were. They get to the main roster, and their entrances, it's like the main roster guys just do. Sanity. Holy crap, did they screw up Sanity's entrance on the main roster. How in the world are they this incompetent with how to shoot him? They couldn't even get when he did his springboard moonsault into the cross leg in the middle of the ring at the beginning of this match, the camera guy didn't even know to follow him.
Or the director to cut to the other camera. Yeah.
What in the world is happening with this? I'm sorry. It's from a production standpoint, as a guy who's worked in TV and film, it makes me bananas.
No, they need to go back and watch the NXT stuff. That's what's missing. And shame on Triple H for not pulling Dunn aside and going, "Hey, dude, we kind of nailed this over in the yellow brand. Go do some research.
Teeth out of his face.
Go ask those camera guys how they did it."
He doesn't want to slap him. He doesn't want to break his hand on his gigantic Bucky Beaver teeth, but at the same time, that is one of the things in WWE, of all of the things we complain about, that's the one thing that makes me so, like, when I see it, I'm like Jim Cornette watching a gay man wrestle. I freak out. That's a shot at Jim Cornette.
Yeah. Hot take.
But so here's the other thing, though. I was thinking about this. Is Vince actually really high on Aleister Black, and he's doing the same thing? I'm thinking back to the Jon Moxley interviews with Jericho and Wade Keller, and how much Vince was personally involved with Moxley's going heel and all of the aspects of it, and how he was just kind of overthinking it and involved with it. And he thought that the inoculation scene was so good and it was totally going to get him over. And he thought, he's like, oh, it's written so well. I suddenly was like, is Vince sitting there looking at these Aleister Black backstage promos in the dark room and thinking, this is so brilliantly written, and Aleister, to his credit, is delivering it so well, but he thinks that is actually engaging and appealing and something that's good for his character? Like, I'm actually speculating that Vince thought those were amazing, because he must have, because they're making Aleister look like an absolute beast in these two matches.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're trying to bury Aleister or actually make him look like a crazy person. Am I off base here, or is that might be what's happening? And if so, that's hopeful, because it means that Vince is high on Aleister.
Well, nothing gets past Vince, so he has to think it's good.
But there's things that he puts, he's more involved in than others. There's things he signs off on, and there's things he's personally involved in. We know that from all the reports backstage. He only has so much time.
This feels like one of his ideas. I mean, short of putting him in a superhero costume, right?
Right? It does feel like Vince going, this guy is obviously a very hot commodity. What can I do to fix him? I know I'll add some sound effects to his entrance, and I'll get him to say some crazy stuff about how he wants to fight people. But it ends up just making him sound like a lunatic. Like this to me feels like the hands of Vince McMahon all up in Aleister Black's business. And
none of this was necessary, I think is what you're trying to say.
Well, of course not. It's complete overkill. And I wanted to leave him alone.
Yeah.
Leave him alone, Vince. Just let him be Aleister.
Leave Aleister alone!
Leave my boy alone. Just let him be him. He just wants to be free. Oh, God.
I hope you guys that kind of mocked the guy knocking on his door being Cesaro last week got your comeuppance.
Eat your words.
Those two boys can go. Let them go. Let them fight. I hope we get a good blow-off rubber match at SummerSlam out of it. Just let them go 20 minutes. They'll tear the damn house down. They'll beat the hell out of each other.
I want to say it was a line that Moxley said. If not, I concocted it in my head. Someone said this. I want to say that. If not, then you heard it here first. But I feel like some of these people are just so good, they succeed despite Vince. You know what I mean? Like Vince gives him Alistair all this crap, and Alistair's just so good that he grabs that brass ring. Like Vince is like, you gotta grab the brass ring, pal. And by grab the brass ring, I mean
sit in a dark room.
Make it through all the crap I give you and have people still like you. Then you grab the brass ring. Go through my trials. You know?
May the odds be in your favor.
I'm going to burn you. And if you can survive being burned, then obviously you're meant to be a superstar.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case, but okay.
I've got a gimmick for you, pal. It's called the Red Rooster. It's going to be the best thing ever. All right, so speaking of gimmicks and gimmick changes, Liv Morgan, we mentioned she had a match with Charlotte, and she actually got to have a match, more or less. It wasn't very long before Charlotte, came back and beat Liv, but Liv did get some offense in, got to look good, got her spots in, and then tapped out in the figure 8. But then she came down to the announce booth, and the issue that Liv had said earlier about Charlotte was, kissing Shane's ass, and Liv said, is there anything real about you, Charlotte? And Charlotte, said back, oh yeah, like your blue tongue is real. Well, after the match, Liv comes over to the announcer booth and just all flustered and angry, she grabs one of their mics off their heads and says into it, that's it. When I come back, I'm going to be real. That was all she said, and she stormed off, which was... I definitely made me kind of sit up and go, what was that? First of all, showing some serious emotion. They gave her a big spotlight, which they haven't done at all since the Riot Squad broke up. Do you see this as a gimmick change? Are we going to get a gimmick change on Liv Morgan?
I hope
because
so.
if so, yeah.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up for me. I loved this. And if you guys were hanging out in the thread for SmackDown Live, I was even calling it like, don't be surprised if they let Liv get one over here. If Charlotte puts her over, just to give her that little goose, because Charlotte can eat the pin and be fine. Still be 8-time, 27-time champion, whatever. But I would have loved to have seen Liv pull off a sneaky roll up or something like that here and just go nah, and show that she could do that. I actually like this better. I like that it kind of it was an end to whatever Liv has been doing, which is unidentifiable other than the blue tongue, and then ripping the headset off of taking a page out of Kevin Owens' book, ripping the headset off of Corey Graves' head, and saying, "When I'm back, hint hint, wink wink, I'm gonna go get repackaged. I'll be back in a couple of months."
Right. Which is not the worst thing to happen. I mean, some people need repackaging. Rusev is gone. I suspect he's being repackaged because we're not hearing anything about him. He's not like just showing up randomly as a goon. Or they're shooting the next season of Total Divas. Who knows? Why doesn't Rusev and Lana have a TV show? They're much more entertaining than The Miz and Mrs. They are wild entertaining. They've made some salty comments about that. They really should have one.
Yeah.
That being said, yeah, I'm down for Liv to come back. Maybe without the blue tongue, because I really am worried about anything that you do consistently for that long that's unnatural is going to, like Ember Moon's Eclipse. That girl is not going to be able to walk by the time she's 40.
No, just ask Hogan.
That move. Just ask Hogan, ask Austin. Austin says
falling
how
on
much
your butt will do to your spine over the course of 20 years.
The stunner has ruined his back, and he's like, she's doing it from the top freaking rope. So I think about Liv Morgan's tongue, and I'm like, I know it's a Jolly Rancher. I think it's a Jolly Rancher that's doing it, if I remember correctly from an interview. That can't be good for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you do it every night, 5 nights a week for years. Like, at what point do you get tongue cancer? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Like, you can't eat that many Jolly Ranchers or have as many Jolly Ranchers as it takes to get your tongue that blue and not have it be detrimental to your health. Maybe it's my mom. The mom voice in my head is like, oh, that poor girl with her future tongue cancer. So, yeah, hopefully comes back with no blue tongue and a gimmick change. I do like Liv Morgan a lot. I could see her doing some big things. And as we said about Monday Night Raw, they need more fresh women in the women's divisions.
Yes.
That can actually do stuff.
Yes.
To continue on that thought, Nick, we had a tag match tonight between Mandy Rose and Sonya and Ember Moon and a partner of her choosing. And obviously we've had Mandy and Sonya bullying Ember over the last few weeks. So Ember came out with Bayley,
the SmackDown
Women's Champion. And this ended up being a pretty quick match because they just destroyed Mandy and Sonya.
Yep.
And then afterwards, Bayley was asked, who are you going to face now at SummerSlam now that you've disposed of Alexa Bliss? And Bayley said, I need someone who's going to respect the belt, who's a good wrestler who I've never wrestled before. Look who's standing next to me. We're getting Ember Moon versus Bayley at SummerSlam. Thoughts?
I'm in.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't think
What were we saying the entire second half of last year? We were saying this about Ruby Riott. We were saying this about Ember Moon. They were in a holding pattern, right? They were.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that Ruby Riott had to go have surgery, shoulder surgery, because I think she would be getting a lot of the treatment that Liv Morgan is getting now. And I think Liv Morgan is getting this because Ruby had to go have surgery. So I think Ember Moon's getting the push, getting the opportunity, and I think Liv Morgan's getting what Ruby was lined up to get. And we were all but soothsayers for the last year when it comes to that, because we're right. Those two have just been waiting in the wings.
We're not soothsayers, Nick. We're not soothsayers. They just listen.
That's right. Thank you, Creative, for listening to the show. If you're live in the chat right now, say hi. Everybody would like to tell you something, I'm sure.
Hashtag they listen.
Yes. Hashtag because they listen. Yes.
Because they listen. But no, so I'm excited about this because I thought the Ember and Mandy and Sonya feud was fun, but I definitely thought it was a stepping stone to something else. I don't feel like they gave Ember quite enough build here. The audience is still a little bit hit or miss with her, but I think this could be a good showcase for her. I question the face versus face dynamic here.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can make that become a little bit more interesting.
I'm okay with that, though. I mean,
exactly.
I don't put too much credence into that. Every match has to one be a face and one be a heel or nothing.
Same.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with this.
I think we'll get a good match out of them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I'm most excited about is that I think we'll finally get Bayley in a really good match. And Bayley has been waiting.
We'll get hugs and handshakes and sportsmanship, and you guys know how much I love that stuff. So
that's what you want.
This will be a fun match. Or we'll just get crazy Ember just turning evil on her. We'll see what happens.
Which I wouldn't be mad at either.
Nope.
I wouldn't be mad at either. But speaking of people changing up things, we had an announcement all week that Daniel Bryan had a huge career-altering announcement this night on SmackDown Live. And far be it from the WWE to advertise something that wasn't going to happen. But it didn't happen. Instead, what we got was the New Day coming out and running down Daniel Bryan and Rowan and saying, "We know what your announcement's going to be, and that's what you want to face us again for the tag belts. And fine, we accept. Okay, let's do this." And Daniel Bryan and Rowan came out, and Daniel just couldn't seem to find the words, almost broke down in tears before walking back to the backstage area.
3 times.
Strange. And then to make things even stranger, out come in order Samoa Joe, Elias, and Randy Orton to all say, "We don't like you, New Day." And New Day said, "Well, we don't like you. How about we have a 6-man tag match?" And Randy Orton said, "No, I'm out." And Kofi said, "What's the matter, Viper? Feeling a little limp?" And Randy said, "How dare you talk about my manhood? Grr!" And came stalking back the ring. We had a 6-man tag match, which was really fun. Bunch to unpack here.
Did they shake his hands?
Not if they're smart.
Right.
Yeah. Unless he's wearing gloves. But even then, don't trust him.
Right.
But so a couple things to unpack here. What's going on with Daniel Bryan? Number one, like what's their ultimate plan here? He said he's feels like he's failed in the tag division. Is he going back to singles competition? And if so, against whom? And then with the 6-man tag, you've got 3 guys who say they want to challenge Kofi for the belt. Joe just lost his match. Elias, come on. And Orton RKO'd Kofi to win the 6-man match. Are we seeing Kofi versus Randy at SummerSlam? And if so, is that a good next chapter in Kofi's title reign?
Are they putting the belt on Randy again? You're right. There's a lot to unpack here. I don't know. This is almost a whole episode in itself, this match, this setup. One, I want to go back and say, I think the reason they dropped the tag belts off of Bryan and Rowan is, yes, so that Daniel Bryan can go back to top of the card singles action. I think that is a thing, with Rowan still being his sort of goon henchman in his corner. That's what I think those two are up to. As far as the SmackDown tag titles, What happened to the big match we had at Extreme Rules? Where's Heavy Machinery? They looked great. I'm a little bit out of shape. They weren't involved here.
They were hiding in the background of the town hall on the heel side for some reason.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like I told you during that, they were just there to kind of fill out the match. I think that they have a big future, but I don't think they're the present right now.
The third thing I wanted to bring up was Rowan Shirtwatch.
What? Rowan
Shirtwatch.
Oh,
another one I had not heard of before.
Yeah, he stumped me on this too. Yeah. I've heard of them. I've never actually listened to them. Winter Sun. All right.
I need to add them to the list and check them out.
I've got to check them out as well. At this point, I'm pretty much convinced Rowan does have excellent taste in music.
Yes.
And T-shirts. Yeah, so just to put a cap on this segment, yeah, I agree. Daniel Bryan probably going to go back to being singles wrestler. Not quite sure what's going on there. I'm not quite sure whether holding off on it. But Randy Orton Kofi at SummerSlam, which it seems to be where they're going, yeah, all in on that. I think it's a smart thing to do. Well, here's why. Because they need to – I want to see another chapter in this. Like Randy's the guy who killed Kofi's push back in the day because of the whole thing that happened where Kofi didn't sit still for the punt and Randy called him stupid and everything that happened there, which I think we all know about. But that's having a Kofi redemption angle for all of those years in the history between those guys. I'd like to see that. I think that could be a good feud.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Randy's back. If he's invested, as we always say, if Randy's invested, it'll probably be pretty good. So I think that's a good idea. Not such a good idea. Kabuki Warriors, speaking of not good ideas. They had a match. They finally had their championship match against the Iconics. Long story short, the Iconics slipped out of the ring, got the 10 count so that they lost the match but kept their titles. So to me, this looks like they're just going to have to – the Kabuki Warriors are going to keep having to try and nail down the Iconics till they get them in like a no DQ match or something at SummerSlam or Hell in a Cell. Who knows? It sucks, Nick, because I love the Iconics as a tag team. I love the Kabuki Warriors as individual wrestlers. I could give two craps about this feud.
Yeah, me too.
And I think it's because I'm salty about the whole Asuka and Kairi thing. And it's not engaging to me for some reason.
Kairi should have never come up. She's the one that should be doing the stuff with Io Shirai on NXT instead of Candice. That launches them into a feud. Shayna can continue. Maybe that circles the NXT Women's Championship. And all of this is fine. The Iconics can be just those dastardly heels that always slip away as the champions. Fine. I'm all in on that. I picked them to win at Mania. So I love them. I agree with you completely. The thing that's weird here is the fact that Kairi Sane is up on the main roster and Asuka's getting thrown into a tag team because Japanese. It just shows like this sheer lack of understanding of what to do with the right talent. Come on, creative. You've got this. This writes itself.
It should, but unfortunately we're getting this. And I don't want to be too negative. I want to think about how they can actually make this work or make this engaging. And I think a no DQ match, I like that. I like that in theory. I think that could make, give them a little bit more time to work and, have the Iconics actually stand their ground a little bit.
Yeah. But
because both those women can actually wrestle. So this could go somewhere. Just right now, it's not flipping my wig.
Stale AF.
We also had Apollo Crews and Andrade Cien Almas in a quickly thrown together match because they exchanged words during the town hall. And Andrade ate a quick pin. He was beating the crap out of Apollo, and Apollo snuck a roll up in and got the win. Is this just a holding pattern for Andrade, where he's going to come back next week and wipe the floor with Apollo on his way to bigger and better things, or do you think they're actually going to start pushing Apollo here?
I don't know. Let's talk about that a little bit later. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
I see what side your bread is buttered on, sir. Yeah. Fine. So let's move on and talk about the fat Shinsuke Nakamura. Says he's going to rain chaos down on everyone now that he's the champ, and Ali is just standing there looking at him all slyly. Looks like Shinsuke will be feuding with Ali.
I'm not mad at that at all.
Interesting. Go. Me neither. I think it's a much better idea than The Miz, Nick. And then finally on SmackDown, you heard me. Finally on SmackDown Live, R-Truth was hiding in a washing machine or a dishwasher, I guess. And Carmella had to break him out of it. And then she said, I have the perfect idea. We're going to go hide in San Diego at Comic-Con in costumes.
Right.
24/7 championship at Comic-Con?
Wait, can I go
Yes.
can I go get a ref and run down to San Diego and pin R-Truth and become the 24/7 champion? Is that the idea?
You can't because you live in Carolina. And I can because I live an hour and a half away from San Diego.
Do you guys know how many miles I fly a week?
And you
I can make it to San Diego.
Okay. How are you going to get into Comic-Con?
Tech creds, yo.
Oh, all right. I see how it is.
Don't make me pull out the big guns.
I too know people. Howell. I too could be at San Diego Comic-Con.
Somebody's running all of that tech gear down there.
Become the 24/7 champ. It could happen.
I may or may not know the reseller partner that did all the installs for Comic-Con in San Diego.
Look at you pulling the big names. Well, next week when you guys hear and your new 24/7 champion, Sir Ian Dangerous, at the top of the show, you'll know why, because it was announced right here.
Right.
But that being said, Nick, enough of this chicanery. Let's move on and talk about the wide world of wrestling.
Okay. I want everybody to just take a deep breath for a second. There's so much damn wrestling happening this weekend. I had to travel this week. I had to catch up on Evolve and the G1 and watch NXT and 205 Live, and just God almighty, there's so much stuff going on. But as we always do, we're going to kick things off right here with NXT.
Yes.
We had a very interesting match to open up NXT this week. Matt Riddle facing off against Arturo Ruas in what can only be described as sort of an Olympic jiu-jitsu match. Like what was this?
It was fascinating. What was great about it was obviously both these guys are high-level MMA technicians, and they worked essentially like a crossover match where it felt like a hybrid between an MMA-style shoot fest and a pro wrestling match. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was nice and it was fresh. We haven't really seen a whole lot of things like this because a lot of people can't do this. Even down to them reacting to each other like you would in an actual fight. You know, Riddle gets I still want to call him Adrian Haude. Arturo goes for a kick on Riddle, misses, and Riddle comes back and immediately taps him in the temple with a little kick, just barely taps him. And Arturo just kind of goes, all right, you got me, kind of nods it off and like, all right, yeah, you got that one. And they go right back into it. It was good stuff. This was good stuff all around. And it's funny because the crowd had almost zero reaction to Ruas when he came out. But when it was over, they were like, that was awesome. This is what Riddle's good for, too, is that as much as, he puts off a lot of people with the bro stuff and the surfer kind of vibe he has. It's once he gets in the ring, it's just he's lights out, man. Yeah. And both these guys, obviously Riddle more in the past, but Arturo right now in Evolve, this is kind of stuff is happening in Evolve a lot. So if you like this, go check out Evolve and check out some of the stuff these guys have done. We'll talk about Evolve in a second.
Yeah, I've never been a huge MMA fan. I've never been a big UFC fan. Respect for what they do, absolutely, but it's just not my cup of tea. I get a little uncomfortable watching it. Just full disclosure.
Aww.
Seriously, I don't want to see arms break and people's heads getting bashed in for reals. That's not my thing.
Okay.
Call me a wuss all you want, but I just
I didn't say anything.
Not my thing. It's just it's kind of why sometimes New Japan can get right on that blurry edge of a little bit of uncomfortable, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I enjoyed this. It was to change up. I was mostly scratching my head the whole time going, what am I watching? Okay, well, all right, cool. What are we doing next?
Yeah, I liked it. I was very invested, but the real meat of this happened after the match, and that was when a masked and hooded figure attacked Matt Riddle, took off his mask, and it's Killian Dane. Killian Dane returns, and not only did he return and beat Matt Riddle from pillar to post all around the NXT arena, the Full Sail arena, he dragged him, pushed him, and shoved him up the ramp, and he got to the top, and he gave him a massive senton through the stairs at the top. Straight to hell. There's that little bit of plywood that covers the entrance, like where Kushida enters from over there. Aleister Black used to come up through there. They had covered that with some plywood, and he threw Matt Riddle on there and just gave him a senton straight through it. And it did not look comfortable at all.
No.
And then he walked away. So Killian Dane versus Matt Riddle going forward. What do you think? Good stuff?
Yep. Sold in. I mean, all in.
All in.
Yep.
All in. Bring it on. Real quick, finally, Killian Dane's shirt watch.
What?
He was wearing a Tool shirt.
Oh, I ain't mad at that ever.
He was wearing a Tool. Yeah, no wonder he laid 46 and 2 punches on Matt Riddle before kicking him through the floor. Hey-oh, the breakout tournament continued. This week we had Dexter Lumis, who I haven't seen since TNA when he was Sam Shaw, versus Bronson Reed, formerly Jonah Rock. Last time I saw him, he was in a Haas match with Jeff Cobb in downtown Los Angeles. The very same day, the very same match at PWG 3 Mendes, we got our Jeff Cobb bumper from.
Yep.
He was all sweaty sitting on the side of the ring, and asked him how he was feeling. He said, well, I just spent 15 minutes throwing an absolutely enormous man around, so I'm a little tired. And as you can now see, Bronson Reed is a big boy.
I have a question. Is Dexter Lumis the Demogorgon? Because, A, he has my attention. I love the look and the stares and all of that. But his entrance music sounds strangely familiar.
Straight up Stranger Things. I was thinking about this. I was thinking that Dexter Lumis, he's kind of like Bennett from Commando if he had a kid with BJ Blazkowicz from Wolfenstein, and then that kid went and got lost in the Upside Down. Yep. Like that's what I got from Dexter Lumis. I love it. What a weird gimmick. Is it too goony though? That's my question.
No, I was just mesmerized the whole time because he said nothing and he moved real methodically and slowly to that Stranger Things-esque theme.
Yeah.
The Dust Brothers kind of theme. I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm in. You have my attention. What are you going to do next?
Well, and luckily what he did next was work a really freaking good match.
With him and Bronson tore it down. I like this
Bronson.
match.
Oh, man.
Can I just say again how this breakout tournament, like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
If this is what NXT's is what's coming next after the whole Gargano and Undisputed Era, yeah, we got a good long roadmap here for NXT. Things are going to be fine.
Yeah.
Let them all get called up. Things are going to be fine.
Yep. I mean, Jesus Christ, that splash that Bronson Reed put on Dexter Lumis to end this match. My God. Big boys should not be able to fly that high. That was terrifying.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Dexter Lumis's rib cage. What's left of it, I should say.
He looks like Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit after they ran over him with a steamroller, just flat. Yeah, another great match. Bronson Reed moves on, loving it so far. Can't wait to see the next rounds. Still think ACH is winning it. Kushida versus Apollo Crews also happened. Apollo Crews, and I didn't stutter. Apollo Crews came back to NXT to have an absolute lights out banger of a match with Kushida, and also got probably one of the biggest pops I've heard for anyone who's returned to Full Sail, except for maybe Bailey and Sasha.
Prince Pretty.
He got a pop.
It's interesting. We about a month or 6 weeks ago when Tyler Breeze made his return to NXT, we made a comment about how cool it was for main roster stars to come back down. I'll do air quotes, even though it's whatever that. I don't want to imply anything there that one's minor leagues versus the other one, but we all know how good NXT is. But for when this is like the second or third time, we had Sasha and Bailey come back as the women's tag champs. Tyler Breeze came back. And this week, Apollo Crews came back. All of them to massive ovations. And I don't know whether it's just the loyalty of that NXT Full Sail fan base that's just so invested in all of these superstars and their comeuppances. Just to see them again, they're excited about that. But man, yeah. And the other thing I want to say here is that how good is Kushida with large bases to work on? Like we saw what he did with Ono. What he did this week with Apollo Crews was absurd.
Hold on. How good is Kushida? Period.
Sure.
Period. End of sentence. Like I was telling y'all when he came to NXT, he's one of the best in the world. I did not lie. The man is absolutely mythical.
Yes.
So yeah, I love this. I'd love to see more main roster guys who are big in NXT. And Apollo wasn't even in NXT that long, which I think is one of the reasons why he's been struggling on the main roster, is they didn't really define his character enough. So I wouldn't be mad at him coming down and having a little bit of something happening a la Prince Pretty. Tyler Breeze, who we also saw this week get into it with the Forgotten Sons. He was doing a photo shoot and they got into his face, and he was very unfazed by your boy Nia Jackson Riker.
Hang on.
And
we moved on from Apollo Crews already? Because I have one more thing I wanted to say.
No, go for it.
top rope Spanish fly transitioned into an arm bar.
Into an arm bar. That was ridiculous.
I had to take a selfie and post it to Instagram of my face going, like, that's
What
not
did I just
even,
see?
like, I didn't even know that was possible, Kushida. But holy smokes. Anyway, I'm sorry to backtrack, but that just had to be mentioned.
So ridiculous.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God. All this good
Yeah.
stuff we're seeing on the G1, that had to be called out as just,
Yep,
oh,
absolutely.
my God.
That is up there with some of the best matches I've watched this week. And some of the matches I've watched this week are some of the best matches of the year.
Yeah.
By the way, we'll get to those in a second. But first, we got to talk about the end of the show, which was Adam Cole coming out to gloat about his championship and say he was going to challenge somebody. And he challenged Twan, the guy that Gargano gave the title belt to hold back at his old gym back in Johnny Gargano's hometown. So it looked like Adam Cole was going to humiliate Twan, but Twan had an ace up his sleeve. He said, "Oh, Adam, you came alone, huh?" And Adam's like, "Yeah, I don't need anybody else to beat the crap out of you." And Twan, so that's interesting because I didn't come alone. And out of the back comes Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
He beats up Adam Cole all over the ring and then puts him in the Gargano escape and taps him out in the middle of the ring. Yay! Yay, our hero's back. Okay, so the way this ended up was we've got now official Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole 3. We are getting the rubber match. It was announced after NXT went off the air. We're getting the rubber match. Nick, they released the stipulation for this match. It's another best of 3 falls match, but this time Adam Cole gets to pick a stipulation, and Gargano gets to pick a stipulation for the first 2 falls. And if it goes to 3 falls, William Regal gets to pick the stipulation for the final fall. So basically, it's a 3 stages of hell match.
I did not hear this, number one.
Oh, you didn't? This is fresh news?
This is fresh for me, so I'm
There you go,
I'm
buddy.
processing. You guys are seeing me process this live. Just wait, because I immediately went to the Hell of War match when you were describing that in my head. I just went, wait,
Well,
where have I seen that before?
I don't think we're getting that.
No,
I don't
we're
think
not
we're
getting
getting
that.
No, dear God.
Okay, with these 2 guys, okay,
Yep.
I think they can
Yes.
do this. And absolutely, we're gonna have Regal come out with in the middle of the match after the second fall. Each of them have survived the other one's stipulation, right? So we're probably going to have, I don't know, we'll have some crazy shit. Anyway, we could speculate on that all day. That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, love
what
it.
What a great way to have a SummerSlam takeover match, a main event for the NXT Championship, be a 3 stages of hell match.
I would love to sit on this, but we're going to have weeks to talk about this. We have tons of tells to get to, so we're going to move on. But my last quick question, just give me a one-name answer. Who is a better opponent for Johnny Gargano overall, Ciampa or Adam Cole?
Adam Cole.
Wow.
Yep.
And if we had said that last year, the feud of the year, Ciampa Gargano. If you would have told either you or me that this year, 7 months in, we'd be saying that Cole Gargano is a better feud than Ciampa Gargano, I would have told you a damn liar.
Yep. Well,
I still think Ciampa Gargano is a better feud, but Adam Cole is.
Oh, the story is amazing. That's going to be one of the all-time great stories in all of WWE. That feud between Ciampa and Gargano. Period. But as far as 2 guys working an exhibition together that are similar size, that have a somewhat similar moveset and style. Yeah. Gargano and Cole all day.
Yep. Kick out spam city, and I don't even care.
Yeah. False finishes all day. Hashtag all the false finishes.
All of the false finishes. It's okay. I'll eat them like popcorn. Give them to me. Just a couple more quick things on NXT. Keith Lee versus Damian Priest next week.
Keith Lee, I heard you were limitless.
I heard you were limitless. I've come for your soul. And then also Street Profits called out Undisputed Era. So it looks like we will be getting what we thought was going to happen. Undisputed Era versus Street Profits at the next TakeOver. Probably Street Profits dropping the belt, moving up to the main roster.
Yep.
But and Undisputed Era gets draped in gold.
We got
Moving
3
on
weeks. Let's
over
see what
to-
happens.
Let's see. Sounds good to me. Sounds like fun. 205 Live this week. Quick mention. Mike Kanellis had a great bit, and we were talking about this earlier, where the stuff he's doing on Raw right now with Maria and everything is terrible. This segment on 205 Live with him and Drake Maverick, and him yelling at Drake Maverick and Drake Maverick yelling back at him, was absolutely outstanding. It's a quick segment. Go watch it on YouTube. Out frickin' standing. Mike Kanellis is great on the mic. Drake is great on the mic. and they have great. This is just a fantastic moment.
I feel somewhat redeemed. I've been trying to tell y'all about some Mike Bennett.
Well, but he's not only that, but this is also Drake Maverick looking really good too. Like he's a joke with the 24/7 championship, and Mike called that out, and Drake called out what a kind of a joke Mike is, and then they kind of got into it, and at a certain point, like Drake had enough and attacked Mike Bennett, Kanellis, and it looks like Drake's he's not going to be a GM. He's going to actually have a feud, physical wrestling feud with Mike Kanellis. And because of this promo, this bit right here, I'm interested now.
Me too.
Good stuff on 205 Live. Also, another potential WWE match of the week. We had a rematch, Jack Gallagher and Chad Gable Part 2. They gave him 18 minutes, and these guys tore the damn house down.
Yeah.
Tore the damn house down. Good Lord. Just go watch the match.
Yeah. 205 Live was
good.
Surprisingly very, very good this week.
Yeah, I didn't even care. Chad Gable won in this match, as he should. I think he's going to be the next guy to challenge Drew Gulak. They're building him up.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God. Gable and Gulak, forget about it. That's going to be lights out. So 205 Live, no one's watching it, but it's still so good. When it's good, it's absolutely some of the best stuff in WWE. But we're done talking about WWE, Nick. You got to go across the pond.
Is it time?
Because it's time. If you listen to the show, you know that we watch some serious New Japan around this time of the year because the G1 is on, Nick, and we're 5 episodes in. We've had 4 since the last time we've had a show. 4!
By episodes, we mean pay-per-views. We're 5 pay-per-views in. We've
had 12 hours. 12 of New Japan since the last time we had a show, on top of everything else we had to do. So we're going to have to just rock through this segment because we don't have time to go show by show, match by match.
No.
And I'll just say this. In A block right now, we have a tie at the top of A block. Kenta has 6 points. Okada has 6 points.
What?
Yeah, Kenta and Okada, both at the top of A block. Following them up, Evil and Lance Archer, both with 4 points. And then a whole bunch of 2-pointers, Fale, Ibushi, Sonata, Ospreay, and Tanahashi. Tanahashi only has 2 points. And Zack Sabre Jr. has 0.
And that's amazing.
A block is absolutely monstrous. Monstrous. Dear God.
I want to repeat one thing real quick. Ibushi, Sonata, Ospreay, and Tanahashi all with 2 points. It's anybody's game.
It's still anybody's game. Okada's winning the whole thing. I'm kind of just
he's
winning the
whatever.
whole thing. Okada's going to run the whole thing and be the first guy since 2000. They're bringing up the stat too damn much on commentary.
Yeah.
He'll be the only guy since like the 2000 to win the whole G1 and choose his opponent at Wrestle Kingdom and possibly choose Naito and have Naito go on to become a double champ. Just saying. But yeah, so unbelievable A block right now. B block, we're having another B block show tonight, so this is just after 2 shows. Yeah. Ishii, Moxley, and Robinson on top with 4. Goto, Takagi, and Taichi, and Toru Yano with 2 points apiece. Jeff Cobb, Naito, and Jay White all with 0. Holy smokes. This G1 is a bloodbath this year, Nick. I think if people haven't had their brackets busted yet, you didn't make a bracket. Tomorrow we're getting Moxley versus Ishii. Juice Robinson versus Cobb. Naito versus Goto. Jay White versus Toru Yano. And Shingo Takagi versus Taichi. So looking forward to that. Actually, tonight for me.
Yeah.
What are of the matches you've seen, what has stood out for you? What have been like some matches people should go check out of the shows so far? Because it's a lot of stuff to watch.
I mean, if we're including everything, going back to night 1 in Dallas,
yes,
absolutely have to see Ospreay and Archer. You have to see a 6'8" man take a top rope Spanish fly. It's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
Insane. It's insane.
I think you have to see pretty much any match that Will Ospreay's been in so far. I think my favorite that I've watched since probably Zack Sabre and Okada. If I'm being completely honest, because
that's a good one.
And just the way that Zack Sabre ties people up into pretzels and shit that I've never. He had what was the line, Kevin? You got to do the Kevin Kelly line.
He's got him in 3 submissions at once. He had him because he did.
Who else could you possibly be talking about besides Zack Sabre Jr. in that scenario? What just a great call by Kevin Kelly there.
Oh my God!
What about you? What have been some of your standouts so far?
Well, you said that Ospreay Archer was your favorite Ospreay match so far because you didn't see Ospreay versus Ibushi.
I haven't watched that one yet. I'm one night behind.
Literally, for me, it's just below Ospreay Takagi at the end of the Best of Super Juniors.
Oh wow!
As far as match of the year, it's freaking unreal. It's way better than the one at Wrestle Kingdom. The Ospreay missed night 4, which would have just been tag matches anyway, with apparently a muscular injury.
Yeah,
his neck seized up or something. So he was back here, and of course, as Will Ospreay does when he comes back for injury, he doesn't just do like a 15-minute match. He did a 27-minute banger against Ibushi where they both tried to kill each other, and he took multiple neck spots. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? The elbows in this match, my God. Yeah, that's the match of the tournament so far, Ibushi Ospreay. I also loved Ospreay Archer. Archer has he's showing up, showing out, living his best life in this tournament. He made Fale, his match with Bad Luck Fale. He had a good match with Fale, all right? And Fale doesn't have good matches. So, and then he just had a match last night against Kenta, Kenta, by the way, his match with Tanahashi was fantastic from night 3. Tanahashi Kenta was great for the storyline as much as the wrestling.
Yeah. History between those two dudes is pretty epic.
Or lack thereof, but just like kind of the implied history with it's kind of like Flair Hogan back in the day.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Where the two guys who've never met before from different companies, they're representatives. And so that was great stuff. And Tanahashi not shaking his hand after he beat him at the end of the match was that was a crazy moment. Kenta Archer. First thing Archer says to Kenta is, "You're not Kenta. You're effing Hideo." And he just slaps the taste out of him. "Oh, you son of a bitch." And he slaps him. Archer's been having a great G1 so far, which I don't think anybody saw. He's just lighting stuff up. I mean, we're spoiled for choice. Cobb Ishii was outstanding as a Haas match. As a Haas match, I know you liked that.
I love that match.
Moxley hasn't really had a good match so far, but he hasn't had a bad match. All of his stuff's been really entertaining. It's just him being angry and going out there and murdering people.
Not until tomorrow when he faces the Stone Pitbull.
Oh, God. Moxley
God. Somebody might die. That's going to replace the Suzuki Ishii match as the Somebody Might Die match.
Yeah. All the blood has left my brain and went south, if you know what I'm saying. So lots of good stuff so far. Even Toru Yano versus Naito was wildly entertaining, like a fun little comedy match.
Yeah.
So lots of good stuff so far. So far, this G1 has been fantastic. Is there anything that has jumped out as a surprise to you so far? Like, whoa, couldn't believe that happened.
Yeah. So until I saw your note today, I had almost intentionally, but unconsciously not gone through and done the tally yet. I hadn't added up my points on my bracket, and I looked at the note today and saw that underneath Kenta and Okada, who are tied for first in A block, Lance Archer is right there with 4 points, and I'm going, what the actual hell is happening in New Japan, where Lance Archer is basically in second place?
But he should be, with the way he's showing up with his character, with the everybody dies claw. I'm loving it. He's absolutely the break so far. He is the breakout star, the one that no one saw coming of this G1. There's people were hoping would be good, like Kenta. People that are always solid, like Sonata and Evil. Sonata and Zack Sabre had a great match to open it up as well. So there's people that you would Ospreay, people you expect to do well. Shingo Takagi's looking really good, that sort of thing. But there were people that no one expected anything out of. That they were like, he's just there as filler. And Lance Archer was probably top of that list. Yeah, he is freaked out everybody.
There's one other one I want to call out, and I thought it was going to be a joke, but it might be the most entertaining match so far. Something that is typically pretty light in New Japan is the sports entertainment aspect of our sport. The Toru Yano versus Naito match.
Yeah, I just mentioned that a second ago.
That might be the most fun I've had watching a wrestling match this year. That was pulling the shirts over their head, hockey style. Naito using Toru Yano's gimmick of taking the turnbuckle pads off. That whole sequence was fantastic.
And it was such a typical Toru Yano match, but it was the way that Naito engaged with him, the way that Naito's character played off.
Went along with
Yano's character. Yeah, he was like, I know what's going to happen now. And Yano's just that much better at that character. He's like, I've invented this, dude. But Naito going along with that gimmickry is kind of like what Omega did 2 years ago at the G1 in his match with Toru Yano, where he's like, is this the kind of match we're going to do? Because I'll play.
Cool.
All right, cool. All right. I'm not going to try and wrestle you because I know what you are. So, yeah, no, every time that someone reacts that way to Toru Yano's character, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to having some more of that. So
definitely looking forward to Shingo Takagi and Tai Chi. That's probably the one I'm looking forward to coming up along with Pitbull and Moxley. I want to see what happens with Takagi. I'm kind of invested in Shingo Takagi at this point after the Best of Super Juniors and his transition into the heavyweights. I really want to see what they do with him.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm loving what I see out of him so far. His match with Juice Robinson was fantastic. Fantastic. That was on night 2. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we get out of Takagi as well. But yeah, lots more to come with the G1. I'm super excited for it. I'm loving it. One quick thing on New Japan before we move on. Apparently Chris Charlton who was their translator, along with Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero, who by the way doing great commentary, fantastic commentary. But apparently Chris Charlton was told by New Japan to keep quiet because they didn't like his voice or his style, and it was reported that he was told to pipe down, but then because of fan backlash, they're now walking that back and saying, never mind, you can go ahead and talk, which I think is the smart thing to do because that guy is an absolute encyclopedia of New Japan history, and having him pipe up with historical information and the history of matches and feuds and so forth is priceless. And as much as smart as Kevin Kelly is and as much history as he and Rocky know, Charlton blows him out of the water.
Right.
So I'm so glad they walked that back. So glad.
Yeah. I have no real thoughts on that. I wasn't really even sure what you were referring to. But
well, like I said, it was a little controversy. And I think a lot of the controversial nature of it was drummed up by Wrestling Observer.
Yeah. Kevin
Kelly was trying to blow it off online, but still interesting to note. And I'm glad that they'll be having more coming out of Charlton going forward.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, to get things closing out here a little bit, we got a couple more things to go over. We haven't talked about that whole AEW thing. That they had their third event. AEW.
I've never heard of them. Aren't they a T-shirt company?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it a couple of guys with like some crazy leggings and doing super kicks all the time?
Yeah. No, they had a whole pay-per-view, Nick. They had a whole free pay-per-view. We got to talk about, oh my God, there's so much. Fight for the Fallen happened this last week. It was a free show. They had a free-er pre-show where you didn't have to sign up for Bleacher Report Live to get the actual show. So we'll start with that. We did some pick'ems for this show, too, and I'm just going to spoil it right now by saying we tied again.
Duh.
Nick.
Of course we did.
We tied. Of course we did. But the pre-show, Sonny Kiss defeated Peter Avalon, who's the male librarian. Sonny Kiss is awesome. The librarian gimmick is awful. That's all I have to say about this.
Sonny Kiss coming out with the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot and cheerleaders. What an entrance. Just
Sonny Kiss should and will be a star.
I also want to say here, by the way, this was in Jacksonville. Apparently the Cons have never thrown a wrestling event out before because they did it outside in an amphitheater in Jacksonville in July.
Yeah.
You should know better than that by now, Con family. You've had a franchise team there since 1995.
Where they play outside, but WrestleMania. Even when they had WrestleMania down there, it was in late March.
Yeah.
So it's not even as bad as July. Good Lord.
They said the heat index, the actual ambient temperature in the ring was about 110 degrees.
So basically, Super Showdown. Basically, Super
Showdown.
Crown Jewel, whatever it was, whatever that last thing over in Saudi Arabia was.
Super shit show.
Basically that.
Yep.
Then they had Dr. Britt Baker and Riho lost to Bea Priestley and Shoko Nakajima. Bea making her AEW debut and possibly concussing Britt Baker with an errant kick, which is why Britt Baker at one point was completely out of it and tried to tag out on the wrong corner in this match. Oof, this got messy. Was kind of shocked that Britt and Riho dropped it to Bea, but I guess that says what they think about Bea Priestley, because I think that she is a potential star, even though a lot of people think that she's a little messy.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Mrs. Will Ospreay, or Ms. Will Ospreay. Then also in the pre-show, a random 6-man tag match. A bunch of people thrown together. Sean Spears, MJF, and Sammy Guevara. It was a weird team. beat Joey Janela, Jimmy Havoc, and Darby Allin. We actually called this because they're trying to build up Shawn Spears to face Cody. So not only did he get the pin on Darby Allin, who was left all alone, he also had some beef with MJF. He was just pissing everybody off. But the big news here, Nick, is that not only did Shawn Spears win this match for his team, but after the show it was announced that his new manager is none other than the man who just signed a multi-year deal with AEW, Tully Blanchard. Shawn Spears managed by Tully Blanchard going forward into a feud with Cody Rhodes. Given the history that the Blanchards and the Rhodes have, that's delicious. That is delicious.
Ian, I'm prepared to make a call at this time.
Are you now? I think I know where you're going with this.
Tessa Blanchard to AEW.
Tessa Blanchard AEW. Tessa Blanchard AEW. You heard it here first. Like, really first, because it may be a couple of years before she's out of her Impact contract.
Yeah, she's Mrs. Impact right now.
But she could be the Charlotte of AEW. She's such a huge presence and a big star. She could absolutely come over, and you'd have a Blanchard and a Flair as the top women of each of these major companies. That would be fantastic. I mean, she's already kind of the Charlotte of Impact. We're being fair here. But everyone just wants to put AEW and WWE against each other. So there you go. That's what we're doing. So yeah. Anyway, interesting stuff there. Looking forward to seeing what Mr. Sly, Tully Blanchard brings to Shawn Spears.
I enjoyed this 6-man match, by the way. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, come on. With these workers, how could you not?
This was a blast. And what a way to kick off the show is to pull the curtain on the main show. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, God, this had everybody lit up. I can't imagine how freaking hot it was with 6 of them in there, though. Good Lord.
That's a lot of hot meat.
That's a lot of beef.
Wait a second. Speaking of a lot of beef, Brandy Rhodes versus Allie next, but it wasn't just Brandy and Allie because Brandy brought along her new buddy.
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong is running. She's basically going to be the enforcer for Brandy going forward, it looks like.
Okay.
Which I'm, all right, cool. Makes Brandy more of a heel. But after this match, Awesome Kong got stared down by Asia Kong. Yes? Give me that. What would you call this match? It's not a Haas match. It's a what? I don't know what to call it.
I feel uncomfortable trying to call that anything at this point.
Oh no. I'm loving this going forward. I think Ali should have lost here. I don't mind having this kind of heel tactic going on. Cool. I'm way more interested in Asia versus Awesome Kong than in anything to do with Ali or Brandy Rhodes. Like, give me that. That sounds awesome. We also had the Dark Order showing up versus Jack Evans and Angelico versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. 2 big things here. One, I want to ask your opinion on the Luchasaurus Jungle Boy team and how that's looking, with Luchasaurus looking like he's like the most overdue in AEW. And what did you think of your first look at the Dark, like the new look of the Dark Order?
I dig it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm just, no pun intended, all in. We both picked the Dark Order to win here, I believe, right?
No, they need to look strong. They're going to be the scary guys in the tag division. So good stuff. And
lots
Luchasaurus,
of fun from Luchasaurus just hucking Jungle Boy out of the ring onto a bunch of dudes. Yes, keep giving me that all day. That's good stuff.
There's a lot of stuff they can do with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I'm so glad they made him a tag team. That it just works so well, man. Yeah. It's peanut butter and chocolate. Fantastic.
It's as good as Finn Balor riding in Bad Luck Fale to the ring.
Totally. It definitely has that feel.
Yeah.
Just becoming little guy on a big guy's shoulders. How could it not?
He has a master's degree,
So I've heard. Adam Page versus Kip Sabian. Adam Page picked up the win here. No surprise there. Pretty fun match. Jericho attacked Adam Page after the match to build their feud going forward. But it was a pretty entertaining match. Adam Page can work a match. So
yes, he can.
That was good stuff. We had
gave him a nice shiner too, by the way.
Oh yeah, he did. I mean, dude, Adam Page came out later in the show after the Jericho attack. Jericho had a promo later in the show. Adam Page came out. He looked like he was messed up.
Yeah.
Bloody and bruised. He looked messed up.
They even put a video out, Road to All Out today, and he's still got stitches in his orbital socket. And
all messed up.
Yeah.
Good.
He ate that code breaker hard way for sure.
Yes, he did. We also had SCU, Kazarian and Scorpio Sky versus the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix. I don't know. The Lucha Boys picked up the win here. I wonder if that's just to make them look a little stronger before they have a ladder match against the Young Bucks at All Out.
The thing to talk about here is not the match with Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian. It's the promo that Rey Fenix and Pentagon had after the match.
Yes.
Standing atop a ladder, challenging the Young Bucks to a ladder match. Oh, yes. Yes, please. Please give me that all day long.
Bring it on. Can't wait for it. One of the matches I was I didn't see it coming. Kenny Omega versus Shima. Like 28-minute match. Long match. Really good match.
Yeah, it was.
Really good match.
Just
probably
just
the
felt
match
like a
tonight.
really good 30-minute New Japan match. It was everything I wanted in this match and more.
Very much Kenny's style.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And Shima held up his end of the bargain. Match of the night for me. Although I did like Young Bucks versus Cody and Dustin Rhodes, that was just more kind of a storyline match.
If you haven't watched Road to All Out yet on YouTube, the first video went up today. They showed a slow motion breakdown of like most of the matches that happened at Fight for the Fallen, and they showed some of the highlights of Kenny chopping Shima's chest and his entire body, including his face, just rippling.
Yeah.
That's how hard they were hitting each other.
Yes.
Like, not pulling anything. These guys were going at it.
It's so funny. I'm so immune to chops right now with the G1 going on, and Ishii and Shingo Takagi and Ospreay and Ibushi all in there just caving in chests on a nightly basis. Like I'm just kind of like, yeah. And watching NXT UK and Walter's over there just caving in dudes' chests right and left. So I probably should have paid more attention to those chops. You're absolutely right. So at the end of the day, Young Bucks beat Cody and Dustin. Not too surprising. I'm surprised that nothing happened story-wise between Cody and Dustin after the end of this. We got to wrap this up because we got to move on. What did you think about the show overall? Like another B-level pay-per-view, like as a charity event. What did you think? What did you think of the show?
The ending was a little weird. They came out with a fake check that, $150,000 to victims of the shootings there in Jacksonville. Great effort. I loved that. I don't know what it was this weird thing where he said boing instead of bang, and I get why.
Yeah,
but
he didn't want to.
The whole thing at the end was awkward.
Well, it was weird, but it made sense. I mean, Kenny Omega didn't want to do his, so long and good night, bang, firing a gun, making a firing a gun image at a show where they were trying to support people who died from gun violence. That would obviously be in bad taste, so he changed it for that. I thought boing was a little bit silly of a way to do it, but I get what he was going for. I also thought it was interesting that they called out WWE for running Evolve against them and saying that it was in bad taste to run a big event against a charity event for murder victims. So I don't know how much of that is just being a little bit little SJW on their parts, but I get why they're frustrated by it.
Just shooting on WWE. I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, so you took it more as them just kind of like stirring the pot a little bit?
Yeah, just giving them a little finger, just sticking it to them a little bit,
All right, I could see that.
Rubbing their nose in it, so to speak.
We got to talk about Evolve real quick. I'm just going to give a quick rundown of it. You had Josh Briggs defeating Anthony Green, Stephen Wolf defeating Kurt Stallion, Sean Maluta, and Harlem Bravado. You had Arturo Ruas, who we just talked about in NXT. He had a match against Anthony Henry that was quite good. Brandy Lauren beat Shotzi Blackheart in an absolute spot fest. That's one to check out.
Oh, yeah.
One not to check. Babatunde versus Colby Carino. Don't watch that one. But AR Fox and Leon Ruff beating Eddie Kingston and Joe Gacy to win the tag titles was a good match. Matt Riddle defeated Drew Gulak in my match of the night. One of my matches of the weekend.
Yeah,
that was
I was going to say
war.
that might be a match of the weekend.
Well, and they're old Catch Point tag team partners. So it was a great, from a storyline standpoint, it was great to see them go at it. So the storyline was great with that. It's one of the reasons why Gulak was I think, a little bit under the weather at Extreme Rules was this match. But that's the match. If you watch one match from this show, it's Matt Riddle, Drew Gulak for sure.
As well as Shotzi Blackheart diving into a sea of chairs over the top rope. Good Lord.
Monstrous. But that being said, Austin Theory and JD Drake had a banger of a match too, and that was to unify the Evolve and WWN titles. Austin Theory won the WWN title from JD Drake, so now Austin Theory is the unified Evolve WWN champion. That was also a really good match. And then you had Adam Cole versus Akira Tozawa, which was a very solid match. Not like match of the weekend, but it's very solid, worth a look. So if you start from like the tag match on to the end of the show, you're probably going to have a good time.
Yeah.
So very, very good show as well. We were spoiled for wrestling this weekend, Nick. Very good.
That's one way to put it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Trying to do a show like this where we have to watch it all and do it all for you guys in a couple of hours. That was a cumulative about 20 hours of content that we just got through there. Good Lord.
It was crazy. And I had to go to my niece and nephew's combined birthday party in the middle of it all.
Good for you, man. Well, hey, guys, that does it for the main show. Now it's time for our listener questions. If you guys want to get in on this, head over to patreon.com and sign up for that $5 tier. $5 a month, you can get in on every single week and get your question answered by Sir Ian Dangerous and myself right here on the show. Leading things off this week is Jacob. What has been your surprise favorite match, storyline, wrestler of the G1 so far? I'll let you go first here, because I need to think about this one.
I think we already said it, but I'm gonna give it a little bit more thought specifically for this question.
Yeah.
I really like, as far as the match, I would have said Ishii Cobb until Ibushi and Ospreay happened.
Yeah.
As much as I loved Kenta and Tanahashi, I thought that was kind of a dark horse one. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Ospreay, Ibushi for best match so far. Storyline, I'm just gonna have to, instead of like getting real deep about it, Moxley and Shooter is my favorite storyline so far. Shota Umino and his relationship with Moxley is my favorite storyline so far in the G1. And there's a lot of great storylines going on in the G1. But having basically having Moxley murder a young lion in a match, and then that young lion's just kind of like attached to him and carrying his belt around, and he's calling him Shooter for some reason.
Right.
That's amazing to me. I love this. It's the kind of like little detail story stuff that I think proves Moxley right when it comes to his ideas being good ideas, and perhaps they weren't listened to by the WWE.
Yep.
This is a great idea. It's obviously his idea, and it's fantastic.
Yep.
I love it. And as far as the surprise, as we said, Lance Archer.
Yeah,
where the hell did he come
Archer.
from? Lance Archer. Unbelievable.
Storyline for me, I'll call out the fact that we've got a lot of new juniors moving up into the heavyweights. I think I think the storyline of Ospreay and Shingo, and even Kenta alongside Shibata coming back into New Japan.
Yes.
All of that storyline stuff, right? You've got a lot of juniors coming up into the G1 this year, and I think that's a big deal.
I loved the storyline, as I said, with Kenta and Tanahashi. I love the fact that Shibata was ringside for Tanahashi when he won the G1 last year. And this year Shibata is back, but he's kind of got Kenta's back, and he's trying to stay neutral between the two of them. And the two of them obviously don't like each other because of their history being like the main guys in two competing companies. So yeah, that storyline's great too.
I'm wondering where Shibata plays into this whole thing by the time we get to the end. And I'm wondering if there's a little more there.
I wonder if this is going to be in
a Gato kind of way. I guess
not even G1. Well, that's the thing. Gato, he books long term. This could be a very long term storyline with the relationship between Kenta, Tanahashi, and Shibata. So love that.
Favorite surprise for me, obviously Lance Archer. I think that's surprising the hell out of everybody. Favorite match, because I haven't watched Night 4 yet, I believe it is, the one with Ospreay and Ibushi. That's probably going to be my favorite match up to this point once I watch it. But I think I'm going to go back to Ospreay and Archer, but just because of the impact that it had. Like, that was probably the biggest holy shit moment I've had so far, was seeing those two guys go at it.
The first non-tag match, the first match of the actual G1 blocks, very first match of the whole thing. And you and I both
blew us all away.
We were texting each other like, what the hell, dude? Where did this
Archer's just supposed to be a goon. Who the hell is this guy?
I thought Ospreay beat him early in the year in the New Japan Cup. I thought Ospreay was going to make work of him again. Nope.
No, I want to get to the back nine, the back half of this tournament, because I can only imagine some of the matches we're going to have in the quarter and finals and everything.
Importance. That's the other thing that's great about the G1 is the importance of these matches becomes more than just storyline in the second half, because then it becomes about people needing to win matches for points. And so shit gets
I'm ready
real
to start doing the theory crafting of who can still make it and all of the upsets. And like we had last year with Evil upsetting Jay White's triumphant run in the G1. It blew the whole G1 away for me. So I don't know. It's going to be a good time.
I like that we've already settled the whole Evil Sonata thing. Evil beat Sonata last night.
Fine.
They seemed fine after. Yeah, cool. Let that go. Like, we had some whole crazy theory stuff when we were doing our G1 preview.
Yeah, I said that was one of the things to look out for with LIJ. So we'll see.
We're already done with that. No, moving on to something else.
Yeah. Great question, Jacob. That's almost a whole. You'll hear a lot about that when we get to the wrap-up bonus episode after the G1 sometime in August when we get around to that.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. Eric, next up. Are we seeing the end of Evil and Sonata as a team during the G1? Great softball.
There you go. Here we go.
Also, why do they use the blue ice bags at the end of every New Japan match? I've often wondered this myself. The little water bottles they put on their necks.
Yeah, the anti-swelling ones. Just a little like nod to it to shoot sports and just icing or heat bagging them after the match. The same way that they have like the beer on the table in the interview room. It's not really. It's just there for look and make it look and feel like an actual sporting event.
Yeah.
Just play into the kayfabe that they're injured right now. So I love those things. I think it's detail work, a little bit of detail.
Young Lions in there just trying to help them get up and get out and everything, and it's awesome.
Having the young lions kind of like pointing the way, as they're leaving. Like I love stuff like that. By the way, Carl Fredericks, the two LA Dojo dudes who are out there tagging. Wow. All of the young lions, by the way, have been showing up in those tag matches. The tag matches this year, by the way, are almost as much watch as the G1 itself. Throw that out there real quick.
I've been skipping them, really? Okay, I need to go back.
You're missing out. You're missing out on some young lions showing up and showing out and some great storyline development in the tag matches. There's actually been some night 3, I think in particular, had some absolutely lights out tag matches.
Good deal.
So worth looking at.
Definitely look at those.
But as far as Evil and Sonata, I think they just buried the hatchet, frankly. Unless they've got some sort of thing planned down the road. The fact that they had them squash their beef so early.
I'm not ruling out Gato doing more with that, honestly.
True, it could be a double swerve, but I think that we're going to have them. Speaking of tag matches, they'll probably be working together in tag matches going forward. They just wanted to clear the air with them so they could actually continue to tag going forward.
Yeah. Awesome question, Eric. Thank you very much. Next up, we had Rule. AEW will have its first title match between Jericho and Hangman Page, but to me, the build-up to this is pretty bland at the moment, especially on the side of Hangman. He won his opportunity in a mediocre battle royal and has had 2 forgettable matches versus mediocre opponents. When he shows up in being the elite, he comes over as a big goof to me. How can AEW build this match up to the level it deserves?
Oh, Rule. Oh,
it's
man.
It's a very rhetorical question.
Shooting from the hip.
Yep.
Hot takes. That being said, it's funny. He's hitting on a lot of issues that I'm having currently with their product. One of them being that being the elite and, some of the road twos are a little bit goofy and ironic and stuff like that. I think they almost killed the villain character with Marty Scurll with some of the goofy shit they had him doing on being the elite. And Hangman Page is kind of falling victim to that a little bit too, where they want us to take him seriously as a babyface potential champion, and he's coming across as a little bit bland. That's the problem with like a top babyface, is that it's really easy to be bland, and unless you have some exciting angles. And I thought it was a good idea to have him bloodied and bruised at the end of the last big show.
Yeah.
I don't know if they covered enough ground that they've lost at this point. I think it's fairly clear that Jericho not only is the more interesting character, but that he's probably going to win that match and be their first champ. And he should be.
Yeah.
At this point, because Hangman, Rule's right. He's just not interesting enough at this point for him to be champ. And I think that what they're doing is half successfully propping him up as being enough of a challenge to Jericho that he can be in this match with him, but also not be so much so that he, when Jericho beats him, he can't go then restructure and become more interesting.
Right. Do you think have you made your pick yet as far as is Hangman winning this, or is Jericho going to be the first one?
100% convinced that Jericho is going to be the first champ. Too. Hangman's losing this. 100% convinced.
Me too.
And partially because of the things that Rule is saying here.
Yep.
Where it's why I jokingly refer to him as the Roman Reigns of AEW. It's not apples for apples by any stretch. This kind of extended forced push for Hangman, the obvious kind of like insider nature of him when it comes to the Young Bucks. There's parallels to be drawn, but please understand that I'm joking when I say that, but that on some levels the parallels are apparent, and it's actually kind of hamstringing the way that Hangman's being presented and the way that people are going to react and respond to him.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with all that. Thank you very much, Rule. Next up, Andy. He prefaces this by saying a rant.
Okay, here we go.
There were 7 matches on SmackDown Live, and only 2 of them were planned. The other 5 were made on screen at various points in the show. Was the original plan to have the Kabuki Warriors versus the Iconics for 2 hours?
Oh, dear God.
I know they lean on this booking trope regularly, but this week it's just ridiculous.
Andy, I'm going to speak directly to you right now.
Uh-oh.
I'm coming at you through this recording device. Something called Logic. It's something the WWE does not have. Logic. Stop using it, son. It's just going to hurt you. It's just going to end in tears. Just leave Logic behind you. It's something that I try to do every time we review Raw and SmackDown, and I get that little thing saying, logically, this could happen. It just will end in tears.
Yes.
Tears for you and for everyone else who tries to use Logic when it comes to these shows. I mean, you could, okay, that being said, I'm going to walk it back. You could William Regal this and say, well, they schedule a few matches for the show, but they leave open slots because they know that due to the friction that you have in this kind of alpha male and alpha female environment, that at some point you're going to have these things arise where they need to be settled in the ring, and you want to make time for those. And as a result, they leave open spots for matches to be booked on the fly as the situation requires. As you saw, Shane at the top of the show saw multiple opportunities where he could make matches from friction that was happening between his superstars. And as a good general manager / owner, he did exactly that. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
Working yourself into a shoot.
brother.
Thank you very much, Andy. Next up, Will, with reports surfacing that Finn has requested, quote, a couple of months to reset. Do we then see the Fiend squash Man-Finn, or do they have him go over the Demon? Also, do you read any further into Finn requesting time off? Because I feel he's been booked well recently and wouldn't think he's been trying to pull a Sasha.
To answer the second part first, I don't read anything into it other than, like I said earlier, it might be the fiance thing. He might go get married. He might be burned out. People ask for time off all the time. AJ asked for it recently. It's not uncommon. And, you take a month or 2 off and they give it to you and you come back and, I could see them. And to that, if we do see a Bray Wyatt squash of Man-Finn at SummerSlam, that would make sense as opposed to, or they could write him off right now. And I don't think anyone would blink too much because last time we saw him, he was being murdered by, the Fiend. So, no, I don't read anything into it. And I would like them to send him off by squashing Man-Finn. I don't think you should rush the Fiend defeating the Demon if that's what your goal is. I think that's something that should be absolutely built, and it should be a big moment. That being said, that's what I think. As I said to Andy, if I'm trying to use logic when it comes to WWE, it's just going to end in tears. So fingers crossed that, at worst, Bray Wyatt squashes Man-Finn and sends him off, and then we get a little break for Finn while he goes and does whatever he's doing, and the Fiend runs wild on Raw, beats up all kinds of other people, and we save, if we're going to do the Fiend being the first guy to beat the Demon, that happens down the road. We get a good, reasonable build for it.
Yeah.
That being said,
I'll ask everybody to put their tinfoil hats on with me real quick and just say,
here we go.
In before Prince Devitt returns to join the club with AJ Styles and the Good Brothers.
That's not a tinfoil hat. That's a dunce cap, Nick.
Oh,
what are you
that
doing?
Too. Fine.
Come on. That makes no.
It would be fun.
Okay. The second half, fine. The Finn going heel, joining the club, maybe.
Yeah.
Prince Devitt. He's not going back to Prince Devitt.
Put the paint on.
Company.
Let's go. Joker.
We'll see.
Dubstep music. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Come out on the. You could join up with the Ascension and not the Ascension. The AOP and come out on their shoulders like Bad Luck Fale.
I'm in. Something different than what he's been doing.
You made me put on the tinfoil dunce cap, Nick. Come on, move on.
Last, but certainly not. Thank you, Will. Good question. We could go on about that forever, and I have in my. Never mind.
Esmeralda in the chat. Exactly. Hashtag Nick Theories.
Yes.
Hashtag Nick Theories.
It's its own YouTube channel. It needs to be.
Oh, Jesus. The dark side of the web.
Speaking of Esmeralda, last but certainly not least, her wonderful question. The Cody versus Dustin match crowd was very split. It didn't. So was Dustin's forehead. It didn't hinder the match, though. Maybe we have outgrown the traditional black hat and white hat, good guy, bad guy shtick. I agree. As times change, the idea of good guy and bad guy isn't as cut and dry as it used to be in the 80s. Is the future of wrestling more gray, letting the audience decide who they want to cheer for?
Yes and no. And the reason for that is I think that that is definitely the philosophy of AEW. That's something that Cody and the Bucks and a lot of those guys over there they've come out and said it. They come out and said that we don't believe in traditional heel face dynamics, although that can work from time to time. Look at Cody and Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
But you can have matches where that's not the case. We've seen a lot of that recently. You're looking at a lot of that in the G1, where they're not necessarily cut and dry good guy, bad guys. Is Moxley a good guy or a bad guy? They work heel face in the ring, and it changes from match to match.
Yeah.
But like a match like Evil and Sonata,
they're buddies. They're brothers.
They're both good guys or bad guys depending on the night. LIJ goes both ways. Wait a minute, that sounded wrong.
Hang on.
You know what I mean?
What show are we on?
Hey now. Whoa. That being said,
we're an inclusive podcast.
Everything is evil.
Yes.
Evil is everything? I don't know. Just say, no, but here's the thing. I think that in some situations, yes, more people are moving away from having that be the traditional thinking and just wanting to put on good matches. Apollo Crews and Kushida from NXT this week, for example. So I think that that's something that's also happening in WWE where they're allowing that to seep in a little bit. So far, it's looking like Bayley and Ember, no one's a good guy, no one's a bad guy. They're mostly good guys. It's kind of face-face. But they don't have to define it that way for this match. Is Becky a good guy or a bad guy? Is Natalya? It's not as completely gray as you said, the Cody-Dustin match. Although I would argue that in that match, Cody worked heel. I would argue that as someone who's there live. I felt like Cody worked heel in that match. But the audience wanted both guys to win because we supported both guys. And that's something that's definitely becoming more of a modern trope as kayfabe goes away entirely, because you understand that both of these people are performers. And so it's harder to get true, proper heel heat.
Yeah.
Unless you're someone like MJF. But even then, look at us on this. We never want MJF to win because he's such a good heel. But we love and appreciate the guy. And in the right kind of match, it'd be hard not to cheer for him. True. Because we like and appreciate him.
True.
So I think that's something with these new dynamics that is going to be a challenge going forward. It's going to be harder to be a true heel. It's going to be harder to be a true babyface like Hangman Page is finding out right now.
Yeah, but are we going to share the match and the moves and the work that the guys and girls in the ring are doing? Or are we picking sides? I think is the essence of the question.
But I think that's kind of what I'm saying is I think that's going to be on a match-to-match basis.
Yeah.
You'll have some matches where it's Kenny Omega and Shima, and you can cheer for who you like. You can cheer for them both, depending on who's getting the offense in, and you can just be there wanting a good match. Yeah. Or you can have a Shawn Spears Cody match, where you absolutely want to see Shawn Spears get his ass kicked, that dirty rotten scoundrel. You know what I mean? You can still have it both ways. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. And I don't think the classic way is going away anytime soon. But that being said, I think that the fact that they're opening it up to the more of the possibilities of having these matches where you can, root for both people at the same time is exciting, because the more options you have, the more fun it can be. It's a bigger buffet.
That's true. Very, very true. Esme, thank you very much for the question, and thank you to all of our patrons for your support of the show and for your questions every single week. It means the world to us. And if you guys would like to get in on some of that action, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers. Just the $5 minimum tier can get you access to Ask Us questions to be answered here on the show every single week. That's patreon.com/BWO. But Ian, we're not done. We've got just enough time for our other news lightning round. Beep, beep,
oh,
beep,
yes.
beep, 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 beep.
Before I get into the lightning round news, they just said something in the chat that I'm just eyeballing on my phone over here that I have to address. Nick, we're going to get you a prop tinfoil hat.
Yep.
We're going live. We're on the YouTubes.
Yes.
We're on the interwebs. People can see you. When you're ready to do some of those hashtag Nick theories, you got to put on your tinfoil hat over there. And I think that would be awesome. Yep. So something to work on.
As soon as I get this new computer fixed up so we don't do this video freezing thing anymore.
Oh, that would work too.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. Other news, we've got Wrestling Observer reports the company is opening a talent, the WWE is opening a talent brand management department. The idea is to directly oversee all branding. This would include social media of talent on platforms both with WWE and outside WWE. They will work to establish a clear identity for the individuals and to grow their brands both inside and outside of WWE, manage external agencies and parties representing WWE talent, establish ways to track growth of talent brands, establish rate cards for talent outside of WWE working, and establish new opportunities for talent. They are looking for a vice president and a director to head the division, but the head of the department will report to Stephanie McMahon, who hasn't overseen an actual department since she left creative, end quote. I know I usually just run through this segment, Nick, but thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd like to do that job. That sounds like an awesome job.
That sounds miserable. Yeah. That sounds absolutely miserable to me.
Working for Stephanie McMahon? No thanks.
They threw in a little snarky comment in there that I didn't actually say, and that was, they're going to be overseeing all the branding for talent, like companies do with all of their independent contractors. Yeah, it's a good point. We talked on a bonus episode about WWE controlling social media for their talent and what we think that they're doing as far as the talent branding. This is just speaking to that. They're going to have even more creative control over all of their talent. There's going to be, in my opinion, there's going to be more red tape for people to get through to control their characters and who they are, their personalities, and it's going to stifle even more of their feeling natural. I think this is a terrible idea. Yeah. I understand why they want to do it as a business standpoint to try and
what was I talking about on
everything?
The bonus episode for the patrons that got to hear it
exactly.
and we were talking about, right?
Exactly.
It is a company-wide effort. We do it at my company. There is a whole communications division of the company that is hundreds of people managing social media, YouTube accounts, all kinds of stuff. And it's all structured and there's an editorial calendar and everything gets shared and everything has a schedule. So yeah, that sounds like the path they're going down is good old corporate comms right there.
Yep. They're trying to streamline things, and all they're doing is adding other levels of stuff to get through, other more red tape. So the terrible idea.
Yep.
We'll see. Also, terrible idea, giving Jeff Hardy something to drink. He was arrested for public intoxication over this last weekend.
What? There's nothing to do in Myrtle Beach besides get drunk and get into trouble. Stop going to Concord and Myrtle Beach, Jeff.
Jesus. I guess
I'm speaking to you, Jeff Hardy, as a fellow Carolinian. There ain't shit else to do in Concord and Myrtle Beach.
You just can't leave Jeff Hardy alone. All the stuff he said on his special with Matt Hardy, and here he is. You go and leave him alone.
Useless.
Next thing. That being said, we don't know exactly what happened. He was released on only a $200 bond, so it wasn't obviously that big of a deal. The charges have already been let go, so it's obviously not that big of a deal, whatever it was. But yeah, it's just interesting that it happened. Like, Jeff, come on. Jeff, stop. Harley Race. Harley Race has been hospitalized this last week. The reasons are still undisclosed, and he is still in the hospital. Apparently, they noticed something while he was on tour, and they put him in the hospital. He's been kind of ailing recently, so please, 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 thoughts and prayers to Harley Race or whatever you want to do for people that are feeling sick and not doing so good. So throw in some love Harley Race's way, one of the greats of all time.
Yes.
Braun Strowman has signed for 4 more years in the WWE. They're trying to lock down other talent right now. Well, they locked down the big man. He tweeted out something along the lines he might have gotten over $1 million or more per year going forward. So he's not mad at it. He was very happy to sign, apparently.
Hell yes.
And I wouldn't blame him. He is definitely one of the top guys. They're being treated like one of the top guys over there. So prepare for lots more of getting these hands. Joey Janela, A-Kid, Jonathan Gresham, Artemis Spencer, Darby Allin, Mick Moretti, Orange Cassidy, Bandito, Caveman Ugg, Jake Atlas, Tony Deppen, Phoenix, and Lucky Kid currently are the people who have been announced for PWG's Battle of Los Angeles taking place early September. There will be more announced, but that is the roster so far for that tournament. Sounds good to me. Lots of talent right there.
Oh yeah.
This might be the year we see Phoenix pick up the win. I'm just saying they might be holding back someone who might be a bigger contender. But right now, looking at that list, Lucky Kid's on a roll right now, too. I don't know. We'll see. Mickie James underwent successful ACL surgery. We mentioned that she had a bum leg and she's going to be going into the hospital. She is out of the hospital now, but expects to be out until 2020, but does say she wants to come back. We said last week that Brian Cage had an absolutely bonkers bachelor party at Bar Wrestling. Well, this week, it's official. Brian Cage married former ring announcer for Lucha Underground and current ring announcer for Impact, Melissa Santos, and baby mama to little Wolverine. They are finally officially married. So congratulations to Big Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. Lovely couple, lovely people. CM Punk will be at StarCast 3 during All Out.
Let your theory crafting begin.
He will have a one-on-one interview. He will be there. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
CM Punk will be in the building at All Out. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying anything else.
Yep.
Here's the thing. The only way I could see him doing anything at All Out is if he came out in a mask as one of the Dark Order's goons. That seems to be what he wants to do these days.
He could come out and challenge Jericho for the claim of best in the world?
Throwing it out there. Shane is the best in the world, Nick. I don't know if you've heard.
No, he's not.
And finally, we do know that so far, if you're wondering what happened with the whole Paul Heyman Bischoff taking over thing and like who's doing what, as of right now, we know that Paul Heyman has had his fingers in the storyline scripts and production of Raw over the last few weeks. But so far, Bischoff has not done a thing. In fact, his first official day on the job was today. He finally showed up in Stamford, Connecticut today, and he'll be taking over duties starting now. So the first day of the Bischoff era will be this coming week. That being said, from what is being reported, he's not really going to be in charge of creative that much, mostly going to be business stuff. So expect for Heyman to probably end up doing more of the creative on both brands and Bischoff to be doing more of the business for primarily SmackDown, but also Raw as well. So that is the news.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody for tuning in this week on this episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast. There is so much wrestling yet to look forward to. This is going to be one packed summer, heading towards All Out, SummerSlam, the continuation of the G1 for the next 4 weeks.
I'm going to have to actually like peel my ass off of the couch after all this wrestling. Like get a shoehorn.
Yeah. Ew. Yeah. Don't ever say that again. That's disgusting.
Swampy.
But guys, to get in on all of this fun action that we are doing all of this summer for all of the wrestling going around, come and join us in the Busted Wide Open discussion group on Facebook. Send us a join request. We'll get you in there right away. You also want to make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube at youtube.com/Busted Wide Open. Make sure you hit that little notification bell, and you'll get reminders as I schedule events for the next live streams. But every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, we will go live. And we also do live episodes of our pay-per-view recaps and stuff like that, such as the one we did earlier this week for Extreme Rules. So you make sure you get in on the YouTube channel. We got lots and lots of good stuff coming for that in the future. Lastly, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. And if you love our show and want to show your support, you can throw a couple of bucks in the tip jar right here on the show, which thank you again, Esme Standing Bear, for your contribution this episode. And as well, you can go over to patreon.com/BWO, sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers to be able to ask listener questions, copies of show notes, bonus episodes, sweet swag, all kinds of good stuff at patreon.com/BWO. But I got to go watch some more G1 in... Oh, God. So let's get out of here. My name's Nick Howell. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I got to go to work, pour people drinks for 8 hours, and then come back and watch more New Japan G1.
Oh, God. But I'm Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at Data Center Dude.
And I am Surrey and Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Surrey and Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.
All righty. Thank you very much, folks, for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.
Lots of good action
you guys are
in the
awesome
chat today. You guys rock.
Awesome. Love it.
We mostly got all the video kinks worked out, but new rig should be done in the next week or so. We'll get all that stuff.
John love it. I John love it so much.
Yes. All right, guys. I got a shitload of G1 to go watch, so I got to get out of here.
You lucky devil, you.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it, as always. Thank you. We will see you next time. And much love.
Peace out, guys. Later.